control, shoveling dirt in every hole. Predators to condemn your soul, watching you and watching me. We're all connected but separated, misunderstood and so frustrated. A million armies of one have invaded, watching you and watching me. We live behind glass curtains and act like nothing's wrong. Soon you will belong. I know you're out there somewhere. We've watched you for so long. Wait for you to fall. We'll expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere watching me. The little brother wants to make headlines, be immortalized. Everyone's got an electric eye, we're the digital spies. They've watched you for so long. I know you're out there somewhere watching have taken over. We the people, our little brother, standing by to dethrone each other, watching you and watching me. Paranoid, the lens is our weapon, desensitized in our lust for attention, democratized by our voyeur obsessions, watching you and watching me. Slaves to perfection, don't let them project you as you are. Reveal your every flaw. I know you're out there somewhere. We've watched you for so long. Wait for you to fall. We'll expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere watching me. Little brother wants to make headlines, be immortalized. Everyone's got an electric eye, we're the digital spies. They've watched you for so long. I know you're out there somewhere watching me. Stay in line, don't make a mistake. We're watching. We've watched you for so long. We wait for you to fall. We will expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere watching me.
your experience begin right now. From high atop the mountains of British Columbia to you listening around the world, this is Spaced Out Radio. You can follow us on our website, spacedoutradio.com, on Twitter, @SpacedOutRadio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. You can follow us on Instagram, Dave Scott, SOR, or on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show.
They let us play with all our toys. They let us think that we're big boys. They let us make the louder noise, but women rule the world. They let us think we're Superman, that we're the only ones who can be strong, but we break on command, cause women rule the world.
Buckle up, space travelers. It's time to go for a ride as we are live on Spaced Out Radio.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And the deeper I go, the deeper I fall.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, and thank you for tuning in and listening in at spacedoutradio.com and on Spreaker. As once again we come in from the frozen Canadian tundra, battle our way past the wild animals, sidestep Bigfoot, and enter Uncle Jimbo's cabin, stoke the fire, heat this place up, and broadcast you live on this Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning if you're on the East Coast. Here at Spaced Out Radio, we are broadcasting 3 hours a night, 7 days a week. Why? Well, we want to be your official one-stop shop when it comes to the conspiratorial, paranormal, ufological, spiritual, and much, much more. Like our music, if you head to the new look Spaced Out Radio website, you can hear the guitar god himself, Ron "Bumblefoot" THAL, formerly of Guns N' Roses. Check out a couple of his music videos by clicking on the Bumblefoot banner. You can also give us a like on Twitter, @SpacedOutRadio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, you can follow me at Dave Scott, SOR, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show, and of course our website, which has a brand new look, is spacedoutradio.com. At this time, we love saying hello to those listening in and tuning in on the SHR Media Network, in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker, along with our fans at Facebook, at Euphoria Chronicles, Chronicles of the Unknown, and Forest Moon Paranormal, as well as our flagship chat room every night, the SOR Space Travelers. Hey, Space Travelers, you can now head to our website and sign up for the SOR Space Travelers Club. It works out to just $5 a month, and we will be doing monthly prize draws, having private group interviews, access to a special section on our website, and much more. We're going to give you a hell of a lot more than just access to our archives. While on our website, you can check out the new blog forums by all of our writers, including yours truly, as well as the SOR Space Wire. Spaced Out Radio's news editor, Eric Markham, has posted some really great stories there. Tonight's show is brought to you by Rivulet Reiki and Readings, providing healings in person or at a distance. The New Agora newspaper is the official newspaper of this show. PurplePlates.com, helping heal your body, mind, and soul. And the iTunes app Spirit Story Box. It's the official ghost hunting app of Spaced Out Radio. Big Pharma was really put on the front pages last year when so-called Pharma Bro, Martin Shkreli, purchased a company that created pills to help people suffering from AIDS. The Shkreli-run company, Touring Pharmaceuticals, bought an older drug company called Daraprim. It was used to treat a parasitic infection that can be deadly for people with HIV or cancer. So, what did he do? He raised the price of the drug from $13.50 a tablet to $750. Shkreli basically called it the American way, as he bought the company to make money. In front of a congressional hearing, he pleaded the fifth at mostly every question he was asked, so he wouldn't incriminate himself. It brought the topic of how Big Pharma is now about profit and not about helping people. Let's face it, a healthy population is not a profitable population. Look at the healing benefits of marijuana. Yet, it's still for the most part an illegal drug. What about all these so-called cancer cures? Where are they? Where do the billions in annual donations go? Dr. Leyla Ali has recently stepped out into the forefront. She wants to get her message about Big Pharma out. Her book, Off Balance, The American Way of Health, a pharmacist's perspective on why drugs don't work, is her way of challenging people in her profession to wake up, reminding them that the title doctor is about helping people and saving lives, not about luxury cars and fat bank accounts. Dr. Leyla Ali, thank you so much for joining us on Spaced Out Radio tonight. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks so much for that nice introduction.
Well, you know what? I want to thank you for coming on and stepping out into the forefront, because I think this is such an important topic that affects literally every person, not just in the United States, but every person in the world, in the civilized world, that has the open ability to get health care and to get medications for it. You know, and it's so disappointing when you see these big pharma companies, lack of a better term, playing God with people. It really is disappointing with how the medicinal community has almost turned on its own patients, isn't it?
Yeah, you could definitely say that. It's the old days, somebody would make a drug because they want to heal somebody. Now, I mean, even the people that work in the pharmaceuticals, it's all about profit. They want that drug that they don't want to kill someone and they don't want to cure them. They just want you to take it for a long, long time. That was one of the quotes, which I reworded. But yes, I agree.
When you decided you were done high school, you decided you're going to go to university to become a doctor, how excited were you as a child or a teenager at that point to become a doctor? When did you decide in your life that this is what you wanted to do? You wanted to help people?
You know, I actually grew up, my father was a medical doctor and a surgeon, and my mother still works in surgery doing the instruments, so it was very normal for me. And I didn't really want to be a doctor until later on. I like a little bit older. You know, I got a degree in anthropology. I wanted to travel, but then later I wanted to help people. Like, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I really wanted to be more of a healer and help people. And I got, you know, you just get so busy. I just feel like they have you, like, scrambling in pharmacy school to learn everything, and then they have you, you know, just barely getting by, and you don't even really pay attention to what you're learning. You don't go, wow, that doesn't make sense. You just kind of memorize things for the test, so you get, like, an A or a B or a C, right? And then you get out, but you don't really have time to think about what you're learning, or it doesn't make sense, or what else the rest of the world doing. You know, you just kind of going through it. So it really wasn't until after pharmacy school that I had my wake-up calls. I mean, I really thought I was going into something that was good. And I did hear people say, oh, it's all a business now. And I'm like, oh, they're just bitter. You know, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be a bitter pharmacist like them. You know, I thought I'd be like the kind of person that would learn about drugs and know the next new one coming up and just really be on top of it. And it just kind of came out a lot different than what I expected.
Were you always a little bit of a rebel that way? Like, is this out of the norm for you to speak about this kind of stuff? Or were you just someone who always spoke their mind and your parents promoted you to speak your mind in order to start coming out against the pharmaceutical industry?
No, going in there, I was just pure energy. I was just, you know, young, and I wanted to do something, and I had a lot of energy. I like to learn. I like to be busy all the time and do stuff. So that was just sort of along that lines. But it was, you know, I didn't know that it was just taking over, and it's not healthcare anymore. It's all about the drugs. So yeah, it was just, like, I didn't know until years after school. I actually, you know, the one wake-up call I had, we were listening to in class, and they were teaching about rheumatoid arthritis, and that's when you have the chronic swelling in the joints. And that runs in my family. Like, my mother has it, and her brother and sister, and they've all had knee replacements. And so I was kind of paying attention, thinking, well, one day maybe I'll have to deal with this. And I was listening and go, wow, they take a pill to reduce swelling, and when that stops working and you start getting side effects, and they give you another pill with more side effects, And when that stops working, they reduce the immune system because the immune system causes the swelling. And that was the first time I didn't really like the idea of drugs. We grew up with drugs in our house, and we always had them, and we kind of felt safe knowing that there was drugs for us. My father always had something in the medicine cabinet. And this was the first time when I realized, I'm like, wow, it's not really a path I want to take these drugs, you know? I mean, it didn't feel like a good idea. I was like, gosh, I wonder if there's something else. But I didn't really think about it too much, you know, during pharmacy school. You just go and you take the test and get out. And I had like a second epiphany after pharmacy school. A friend of mine, he was, you know, I learned about cleansing. Everybody was talking about cleansing. And I'm like, I don't know anything about cleansing. We didn't learn about it. And a friend of mine actually brought me some books. And one was called, I don't remember. There's a few books about, you know, just cleansing the body completely. And I was reading these books. I was just going to skim them enough to do the cleanse. And one of them said 95% of diseases are caused by what you eat. And I'm like, how can that be true? I mean, I would have heard of that, right? I mean, here I am. I have a doctor title and a healthcare profession. So if that was true, somebody would have told me about it. And I actually pulled my old therapeutics book and started looking up all these common disease states. And even things like gastroesophageal reflux disease, heartburn, you know, you get it after you eat food, or acne, or anything. Nothing was related to food. It all had these stuff like complex balance between defense mechanisms, things you'd memorize for a test, so they don't really make sense. A lot of jibber-jabber. And so at that point, that was my point where I really started learning about everything. I'm like, wow, they didn't even teach us the basics of health, and we're healthcare professionals. So at that point, I started really going off and learning about holistic health and seeing, you know, where it helps, where drugs fall short and what it's all about. I really wanted to learn more at that point, and that's when kind of everything kind of shifted for me. And that was like probably 3-4 years out of pharmacy school.
How long did it take you to build a case against, in your mind, the big pharma companies, that you weren't doing the patients the justice of healthcare? You were more so pushing narcotics, and like you said, to use your term, you know, you take this drug to get rid of this disease, but its side effects, you need this drug, and that side effects, you need this drug, which now breaks down the immune system.
Yeah, you're right. It's just building one upon the other. People always say, like when they don't know what you're talking about, they're saying, well, drugs are good for some things. And you say, well, yeah, they are good for emergencies. And if you go to a doctor, then, you know, if you need a new leg, then it's great. I see those people running by me all the time, right? The technology is great for things like that, but it's the chronic diseases, things for diabetes and things like that. Diabetes and heart disease and cancer and everything, where you just take the drug after drug and then long term. And I mean, diabetes, they tell you that you're going to have it forever. You don't have to have diabetes forever. You know, there's documentaries where you see people get rid of diabetes in a week or two, and it's very extreme changes in diet at that point. But if you do the small changes over time, so I see people, and it's insane. Like when you think about it, when you step back and you go, these people are taking medication that costs thousands of dollars a month, and health insurance pays for it, and there's simpler solutions. I mean, it's like unbelievable when you learn both sides like that. You know, there's like just such easier ways.
Did you ever have the time or the emotional breakdown when you kind of sat back and looked at what people today are not being told and just said, man, are we pulling the wool over the public's eyes? Like, did it ever just affect you personally?
I think I did. I felt really betrayed. I did feel really kind of sad, like I just wasted so much time. So I did feel that. And it's not just the public, it's the pharmacists, it's the doctors that are going to be trying to be something good. And you learn just about drugs and surgery. And you learn in pharmacy school that, you know, they'll go over herbal remedies, but they'll say, oh, yeah, these aren't, they'll kind of subtly discredit them. They'll say, these aren't approved by the FDA, you know, they're not tested. I mean, they've been around thousands of years, but they always have that language to discredit and make them not so significant, yet they're so much safer. I mean, the drugs, they take a plant and they alter it in a lab, right, so they can put a patent on it and make money, and then they sell it, and then they have all these lists of side effects and create the hype and the money, and it's just like a big show where you can just go get hydrogen peroxide and cure some of the same stuff. That, you know, I mean, it is really that insane when you step back and look at it.
What made you finally decide in your personal life, putting your professional opinion and your professional reputation on the line, saying you've had enough, you have to stand up for the little guy, which is the people popping these pills?
You know, I mean, I had the epiphany. So, you know how it is when you're called to a path. I mean, it's what I'm supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? It's just kind of once I figured it out, then it, you know, it was just what had to happen. And when I wrote my book, I started doing like monthly mixers here in Long Beach where we would have different holistic health practitioners come. And I didn't know anything about them. I got to meet a lot of them in the local area and learn what they do and learn that they tell me, oh yeah, we heal asthma all the time. Like, really? Asthma is incurable. People take that and then they start taking steroidal inhalers to reduce the swelling. So I got to meet a lot of them. And then I also met people that healed themselves from health conditions that their doctors couldn't treat. So I actually, in my book, I have like 14 interviews, and 8 people, they had things that Western medicine had nothing for. And all 8 of them healed themselves completely. And this is like pain. One guy had Tourette's, addiction, cancer, and pain for 20 years. And another one had chronic fatigue. This one was interesting, too, because she went to her doctor, and she did research on the Internet, and she said, I think I have chronic fatigue. And he laughed at her, and he goes, I have it, too. Like, they don't know what chronic fatigue is. They'll give you Prozac, so you're happier. So all of them healed themselves in different ways. One was even hypnotherapy. He had neuropathy, where his nerve cells were destroyed, and he was able to recreate them with hypnotherapy. But they all did it, and they all changed their path to become healers of different sorts and help other people, because some of them suffered for 20 years when they didn't need to. So they all said, and these people kind of showed up. I mean, it was just like amazing stories. I love the people in my book. They're so great.
So did you ever get questioned, or did you ever get admonished from your professional colleagues in regards to starting to speak out against all of this?
You know, I think the main reaction that you get, I mean, some people, they agree. Like, there's some people, like my neighbor, she said, oh, I knew it. I knew this was the case when I wrote my book, because it was just, she knew like all that was going on in her head, and she was really happy somebody wrote it. But I think a lot of people that don't know what you're talking about, you kind of get that blank stare where they just, and the sooner you shut up, the better. You know what I mean? So they just kind of look at you, and you're like, all right, and they're just not connecting with what you're saying at all. So a lot of them like that. A lot of pharmacists, I mean, like I said, the pharmacists and doctors are very busy, you know, and they really don't want to hear it, I think. I think there's something where it's just like, we learned all this stuff, and you, what, like, who are you? You got something better than pharmacy school, right? So how would you know? So, yeah, different reactions. So it seems like people are getting a little more open, but I definitely know a lot of people who are on the same page as I am now, which is, I mean, I actually thought I was the first person who discovered this when I started learning about it, you know, because I didn't know anything. And you're like, wow, there's others out there.
Well, I think the big thing, too, is for a lot of people is wondering if doctors or pharmacists, your fellow colleagues, are being paid off by these drug companies in order to promote their product, even though these products, for the most part, aren't effective.
I mean, they're paid off with a salary. You know, they cut down on what drug companies, you know, these doctors used to go to these, like, really lavish parties, and they would pay for trips to prescribe their medication. I mean, there's tons of information on what they would do just to get it out. There's even stories where they would just, like, the patent's going to run out, so they had these drug reps go out, and they would, like, on the drug Neurontin, and just claim that it was approved for all these things, and there was no test for any of it. They just wanted to sell it. And then, you know, when they have the lawsuits, it's not enough to wipe them out. It's just, you know, it's just like a slap on the wrist, right, to pay off a few people. But your question on, do they pay them off? I think they pay them off with some trips and a lifestyle, right? But, you know, I would say most of the pharmacists and doctors aren't in on the secret, because a lot of them still use medications, and they think they're doing. Nobody wants to hear that you're doing bad things, right?
Well, do the doctors though think that they are doing bad things?
I don't think they do, and I don't. I mean, and you know what? Doctors are taught to be arrogant, right? Like, that's part of their teachings, to think that I know your health better than you know it. Whereas in holistic health, people are responsible for their health and their decisions that they make. So,
no, and I can understand that, and I can understand where the trouble comes from, and I can understand where the stress comes from for a lot of people in your profession. You don't want to be wrong. As a doctor, you're not used to being wrong. You don't want a malpractice suit. You want to be at the top of your game at all times, much like a pilot does flying an aircraft. You got responsibilities that you have to do, and there's a price to pay for that. But on the flip side, you get a doctor coming out of university, and there's a bunch that just graduated just weeks ago, that are trying to get started with $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 student loan debts that they got to try and clean up, if not more, if they went to an Ivy League school.
Right.
There's a lot of pressure about money over health at that point. It's a lifestyle.
Yes. I mean, like, you get out of school and you're dug in a hole. I mean, the people that I work with, some are $150,000, $200,000 for pharmacy school. So yeah, it's definitely like that. But there's this, you said the younger pharmacists and doctors, they really don't know. I mean, I think when you get older, you've seen people suffer a long time, and maybe you start to doubt a little bit. But when you're young, you just got to, and you're taught that you're the authority on health, right? And you're a doctor, and people look at you and talk to you differently because you're a doctor, so they give you that respect and authority a lot of times. But, there's still, doctors, there's some doctors that complain that all patients want is a drug. And you're like, well, you can do this or you can do that. It's like, well, don't you have a drug? And then there's some patients that complain that I go to the doctor and all I do is give me another drug, right? But those are still the minority. Like, most people are very happy with the little pattern. I don't feel good, I'll go get a drug, insurance pays for it, everybody's happy. So until they're suffering a long time, it's just so easy to have a pill that's covered on insurance as a solution to your problem. It's like a dream come true, right? So it's kind of tough. We're kind of in a vicious circle, and I always say the three parts to it. The patients have a problem, the doctors are part of the problem, and the insurance companies are part of the problem. I mean, the insurance companies paid for holistic healthcare services, and more people would go. It's kind of like an endorsement, right? And patients just want drugs. And, we live in a capitalistic world over here. They get drugs. So we got a lot of work to do.
Do you then think there is collusion between the three sides in order to keep things like holistic medicine and chiropractic as well as massage therapy off the books when it comes to insurances or out of people's heads?
I don't know. It's more like pharmaceutical influence on everybody and everywhere and having the big bucks, Because, if it's your family, you want them to have whatever healthcare works, right? Not what gives the most money for the corporation. So it's...
Have you ever been offered a deal, a lavish trip, money for pushing certain narcotics over the counter?
No, the trips would be more for doctors because, pharmacists can't prescribe. Doctors can write what you want them to write. So pharmacists would probably get pens and lunches and things like that, or they get free dinners and stuff, right? But the doctors are the ones that would get the better stuff because they could actually write the prescription for that. But I did go to the doctor for an ear infection, and there's so many holistic ways to treat ear infections, and I'm not sure why I went. It's just been a long time. So, and she looked in my ear. I actually saw a drug rep serving him lunch there, and they were just doing this little, the little jibber jabber that goes with that. And she gave me this prescription, and it was like a brand name medication. A lot of times they'll take two generics and combine it into one eye drop or one ear drop. They take two generics that are like $5 each, and they combine it into one formulation, and then they charge like $300 for it. And she gave me a prescription like that. I'm like, are you kidding me? I go, you can write them separate, you know? And she's like, no, this is the best one. And I'm like, oh my God, this is just like a reminder on why I don't go to doctors, you know? I mean, it's just like the classic disaster appointment. I mean, she was horrible, you know? I mean, I know these two drugs are available at like a percentage, like a small percentage, and that's just, the drug rep probably, you know, brought up lunch, so they prescribed the higher price one when there's cheaper ones available, and that is the world we live in. So that was really annoying for me.
We are talking with Dr. Leyla Ali tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Her website, offbalancethebook.com. You're going to want to get this book. It's called Off Balance, The American Way of Health, a pharmacist's perspective of why drugs don't work. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. We'll be right back right after this break.
Would you like to become one of our space travelers? All you have to do is click on the Space Travelers icon at spacedoutradio.com. For only $5 a month, you can get access to some great prizes, as well as private monthly shows, newsletters, and a members-only section on our website. Become a space traveler today.
Hi there. This is your medium, Joanna, from Spaced Out Weekend, 2 Mediums and a Large. I would love it if you would come and join us with host James Tyson every other Sunday on Spaced Out Weekend. Together, we will take your calls and your questions live. Our goal is to provide you with a positive outlook on deep questions that you may have. Questions regarding love, relationships, money, or whatever else is on your mind. Come and check us out at spacedoutradio.com.
Every Saturday and Sunday night, as Dave Scott wanders aimlessly in the wilderness, you can come hang out with me, James Tyson, in Spaced Out Weekend. Starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, I'll take you along as we talk with some of the best experts in their fields. SpacedOutRadio.com is the place to find us. So sit down, relax, put your feet up. Enjoy the topics like the paranormal, supernatural, intuitiveness, and so much more. Hope to see you there.
Hey everybody, this is Patrick Webster Small, and I'm here to bring you the Webster Phenomena every Saturday night. Live at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. If you're looking for aliens and extraterrestrials, well, we've got them. Big and tall, short and small. You're bound to find what you're looking for. So join me on the Webster Phenomena right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com for mind, body, and spirit, and expect a miracle.
Have you ever wondered about those weird and strange creatures people have reported throughout history? Do you wonder if those stories are real? Me too, and that's why I started Cryptopia.us. Hey, this is Rob Morphy, crypto historian. Join me once a month on Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott, where we will get into the odd and bizarre reports, from the Dover demon to hairy hominids and everything in between. I will break down what people like you and me are seeing at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost?
Look no further than Spaced Out Radio.
SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click on to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on radio
or our website, including social media.
From commercial spots to banners, we have it all.
Check out our competitive pricing today.
Hi there, I'm Butch Witkowski, lead investigator with U4Cop. On the final Monday of every month, you can listen to me and host Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio's Strange Days. We're going to get to the heart of the matter when it comes to what's happening out there. People are seeing and experiencing things from ET contact to Bigfoot, and I want to hear about it. Your experiences are what we investigators need to help solve these unknown mysteries. So tune in at spacedoutradio.com to the final Monday of every month from Butch Witkowski's Strange Days.
Want to connect with us online? Find us on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show, on Twitter, @SpacedOutRadio, on Instagram, Dave Scott, SOR, on YouTube, Spaced Out Radio Show, and our website is spacedoutradio.com. All right, space travelers, here comes the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio. Welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, still in Facebook jail, because apparently I tagged too many people in my own room. So we're still waiting for a few people to hop on in to the SOR Space Travelers on Facebook. We want to thank everybody who's in there right now, along with all of our listeners in the Space Out Radio chat room on Spreaker, those listening in at the SHR Media Network, Euphoria Chronicles, Chronicles of the Unknown, and Forest Moon Paranormal as well. Hey, if you haven't stopped by the new look Spaced Out Radio website, I highly suggest you do. We have a lot of features going on. We have weekly written blogs. We have Bumblefoot, our music master. Great page on him. We have the SOR Space Travelers Club, which you can join for just $5 a month. With that, you get a private section on the website for just SOR Space Traveler members. You get to participate in monthly private interviews with special guests. You get a monthly newsletter. And my favorite part, we're actually going to give away prizes each month to one lucky space traveler. So sign up for that today. There's a hell of a lot more on the website. Check it out today, spacedoutradio.com. You can also follow us on Twitter, @SpacedOutRadio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, I can be followed at Dave Scott, SOR. Our YouTube channel, subscribe to it, is Spaced Out Radio Show. And once again, our website is spacedoutradio.com. Tomorrow night on the show, we get back into the extraterrestrial realm. Karina Sables will join us. We're going to talk about her horrific family experiences with extraterrestrials. We're going to get into that tomorrow night on the mighty SOR. Tonight, though, it's a topic that I have wanted to do since I've started this show back in November 2014. Big Pharma is about profit. It's not about helping people anymore. And the medications and the prescriptions that are coming out there have our guest tonight, and we could call her a little bit of a newborn whistleblower on this, Dr. Leyla Ali. Her website is offbalancethebook.com. When you go to her website, you can check out her book, Off Balance, The American Way of Health, a pharmacist's perspective on why drugs don't work. We bring in Dr. Ali now. Leyla, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it.
I'm looking at your book title right now, and I think that's such a strong statement. A pharmacist's perspective on why drugs don't work. Are there a lot of drugs that you have behind the counter that are truly just there for their pretty colors and really have no positive effect on the body?
I think that the general sense in the drugs is a temporary positive effect, but more problems later. I mean, I would say to sum it up on the drugs is that's what you normally get. It'll help you, but you're not going to be healed, and it's going to set you up for more drugs, needing more drugs later.
Do you ever just sit back and think, I really don't want to give this to the patient?
Well, I mean, quite a bit, but when you're doing a regular job, it's not the place to do it. I mean, it's like a whole new way of thinking, and you got a lot of people that just want to get their white pills and their blue pills and get them in their little organizer, and then they feel like they got their health care. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot. And then one time, too, someone was asking me, because, on those statin drugs that are really toxic and cause the muscle and liver damage, and someone was saying there's a drug interaction with grapefruit. And they're saying, well, I should stop eating grapefruit then, right? Because then you can get more side effects. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, oh, my gosh, I just told them to stop eating grapefruit, which is a great fruit, right, to have a statin drug. And I'm like, oh, my God, what just happened there? So... yeah, there's moments like that where you're just like, that's the world there, yeah.
Do you ever feel that you are caught in a catch-22 these days by coming out as kind of a pharmaceutical whistleblower, and in the meantime, you still have to do your job? You still have to accept the medications that have been prescribed by doctors because that is your career choice, that is your personal field of expertise.
Yeah, it's definitely a catch-22. It's definitely really interesting, and, because, I mean, if people are, asking me and they don't want the drugs, then I'll tell them. But if they want the drugs, you can have the drugs, But it's, like I say, you can't just go and start telling people that want their drug at their copay, to go see an acupuncturist, and they're like, well, it's not covered. You know what I mean? Like, that's just a huge jump for a lot of people. But there are some that, if you start asking them, then they'll, if they start talking about it, then I'll lead them in the right direction. But when you're in the pharmacy, it's not that many people, really. They just want their drugs. So, but yeah, so I know that's not the place. I know where to get the message out in different ways. I don't know where, but I know that's, I'm not going to go in a pharmacy and start digging in like that,
Mm-hmm.
But
is there anything that you, in your professional opinion, just cringe when you see a scribble on a piece of paper come in? And I don't know how you actually read doctors' handwriting, but when it comes in, do you absolutely cringe and say, oh, why is he giving this to the person? And professionally, you have to keep your mouth shut. Am I correct? And you just got to give what the doctor prescribes.
Yeah, I mean, professionally, we have to make sure they're done safely without drug-drug interactions and contraindications, with only the standard side effects that are acceptable. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff. Even the one thing I'd like to talk about is acid reflux, because there's so many people on acid reflux medication. So I actually did a small talk on that, but it's just, when you have acid reflux, it's not you don't have a disease. You have your body trying to recreate balance, right? So you're eating some food, and your body has a job to break it down. Right? So a lot of us, we eat too fast. We eat processed or GMOs or food that's not combined right. And you put it in your stomach, and your body has to do something, so it creates this excess acid. And you have acid reflux after a big meal, right? Like after Thanksgiving meal, people are always complaining and taking heartburn medication. So now it reduces the acid. So now you have this food in your stomach, and now you're reducing the acid. And now what is it supposed to do with it? It's trying to break it down, and it can't, right? So you have to understand that when you have a health condition or a disease, your body's trying to recreate balance. And with acid reflux, there's so many things you can do to prevent it. And I've told some people, listen, the first thing I tell people is to chew your food. Like if you chew your food and have it a liquid, you have to eat slower. Not only will you eat so much less, but that's so much less work your stomach has to do to break down the food and get absorbed. If you eat it, and they say to a liquid, like 30 times, chew 30 times until it's a liquid. And of course, a lot of people don't have time to do that, right? We're always in a hurry. Then that would almost heal a lot of people's acid reflux right there. Just that one step. But there's other things too, like digestive enzymes, things that help break down, anything that helps break down the food and get it processed. The digestive enzymes and the probiotics are the bacteria in your stomach that keep it in healthy, the normal flora to keep it working. And another thing is food combining, to have your body processes meat different than it does fruit, and they should be eaten separately. And so that's another thing that would make it smooth. Like there's a lot of information on that. I'm not too in depth with that, but I know if you eat one thing at a time, it's much easier on your stomach. And all these things, and then instead people take this acid reflux medicine for years, and they have tons of side effects. And all you're doing is you're disturbing your digestion. You're making it so things can't break down. So does that make sense? I mean, it's just one simple thing that people could do to get off one medication. And not only that, but I learned this from one of the naturopaths I know, is that acid reflux medication is only approved by the drug companies to be taken for 3 months. Like that's all they have. But people take it for years, and it's a bad idea.
I can see that. And you know what? I'm not going to lie. I actually held my head down in shame when you said don't mix meat with the other vegetables, because I am the type of guy where I mix my entire plate together, and, whatever gets on the fork has to go down. I mean, that's so, my dad's an old farm boy, and when we had to go to the trough for a feeding, at home growing up, that's the way we did it, and I would never have thought about that.
Yeah, and if you're fine, you're fine. I mean, if your stomach handles it, but if you're having gas and a lot of other problems, then that's something you could do different, Be a little easier, and then the other thing, too, is just to relax when you're eating. Is when people are always stressed out, that fight or flight, our digestive system works the best when we are relaxed and calm, and that's why a lot of people, they make a point to be talking about peaceful things when you eat, And I know at my work, sometimes they have CNN on, which has, beheadings or bombings or whatever, suicide bombings or whatever, and it's just like you have to really tune bad stuff out while you eat and be at that most relaxed state and talk about peaceful, happy things. And that's more important than a lot of people realize, and then eating mindlessly, a lot of stuff like that. And acid reflux, I think for most people is easy to solve, just going back to basics.
What drugs don't work?
Well, when I say drugs don't work, it's, again, the drugs, they solve a problem but create more. So I say, acid reflux medicine, after what I just said, would you say that works?
No.
Or, it works, right? So antibiotics, right? Antibiotics, when they were discovered, they would treat people that would normally die from gunshot wound infections, right? Things like that. A lot of diseases that couldn't be cured, and all of a sudden they got penicillin that would heal it. So penicillin works, but now what happened? I think a lot of my theory is that a lot of medicine was good, and it evolved into profit-seeking. So antibiotics started as a great thing. Now people take it when they have a runny nose, and what happens, it wipes out your normal flora in your stomach. It wipes out your normal system. It might get rid of the infection. You don't know. It might be caused from a virus. So you might be taking it for nothing, and cause more problems later on. So the other thing too, I learned. I wrote this in my book too, but I had an experience when I went to the doctor, and I was having this really bad cough. I would wake up in the morning and a lot of green, heavy stuff coming out. So I was in pharmacy school, so I went to our doctor. And I was expecting antibiotic because it was green. And this doctor told me, he just looked at me and goes, yeah, well, you don't know if it's a bacteria or virus, so you should just take Motrin, ibuprofen around the clock until you feel better and let your body heal. And I was just like staring at him. I was so pissed. I was so mad because I went in there expecting that. So I was one of those people in pharmacy school. And he didn't give me one, but, my body healed. And when you let your body heal from an infection like that, it builds up the resistance for the next time. So because I let it do it, if I had anything like that again, your immune system would be ready to fight it, and you wouldn't have to deal with it again. If I'd taken the antibiotic, I would have interrupted my body's immune system. And next year, if I came across it again, I'd have to take another antibiotic. You know what I'm saying? So antibiotics work, but they set you up for more disaster later. And you get people taking antibiotics every year for silly things, and your immune system isn't building up like it should, antibiotics. One more thing on antibiotics. The guy I interviewed in my book, who's from Long Beach, I don't know if you know those Cipros. There's a class of drug called fluoroquinolones, and they're still prescribed all the time like candy. There's ciprofloxacin, Levaquin, Avalox, and these drugs, there's people that have groups now that are actually disabled, like young 30-year-old guys that are athletic. All of a sudden they're disabled with neuropathy and tendinitis that they can't do anything. And this drug's still on the market, so I don't know how many people have to be damaged before it's going to actually be pulled off. But this is something, he was prescribed for some small thing in his stomach, and it didn't work, and it disabled him.
That's horrible.
So that's still happening. That is really horrible. So
how does the FDA continue to approve a drug that has such horrific side effects to the human body?
Yeah, they they do it all the time, and it's just a matter of time before some of these get pulled off. But funny thing is, I was in a business conference once with all kinds of different. Wasn't medical business. It was just I was learning about some business things, and we were supposed to make our unique selling proposition. And I just happened to be sitting in groups with this guy who worked for a drug testing facility. And so he would test the drugs for pharmaceutical companies. And he said that his unique selling proposition would be to get the drugs on the market faster, because that's what the drug companies want. They want it to be tested and pushed out as soon as they can. So as soon as they're out there, the sooner they make profit, and the sooner that everybody gets bonuses. And so they don't care. I mean, they'll eventually get it pulled off, but if they get their time where they can make a few billion, I think they're happy. There's a lot of... Go ahead.
Do you then subscribe to the fact that healthcare has turned from helping people and is now more about keeping long-term patients?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the chronic diseases, they say 86% of healthcare spending is on chronic diseases. And these people are just on long-term drugs that don't get any benefit. So it is definitely, and again, not all aspects. I mean, emergency care and a lot of technology, and doing the scans that they have to diagnose things. A lot of these are good, but if you have a chronic disease and the doctor says you need to take this forever, that's when you need to run out the door and start looking for something else right in the beginning. Not when it builds up, not after you're taking 4 meds. I mean, the sooner the better.
Doctors always seem to shake their heads and give patients that cursive, stern talk when they go on Google to try and self-diagnose themselves. Should people be actually doing that when it comes to the narcotics that are prescribed, just to see what the reference is on the background before actually going to a pharmacist and purchasing them?
Should they go online and look for their narcotic? Is that what you mean, like for pain medication?
Yeah.
I mean, I think when the doctor prescribes it, then, I guess some doctors will let you pick, but, I mean, I guess, I don't know, I don't really understand the question. It's like there's a lot of narcotics that are addicting, you're on them long-term. Then when you can't get them, then there's problems, or if you have too much pain, then people take a couple, then they're out, and it's like a really bad spiral. So as far as the individual one, I don't think it's so important as knowing that, take it temporarily and then start looking for other ways to heal pain. Because, I mean, there's a lot of different ways to get out of pain. There's no need to be in pain. You can get out with hypnotherapy or acupuncture releasing techniques. So there's a lot of different ways to get off the meds. So if you're on a narcotic, I would just tell people there's other ways and start looking around quick. And there's like 2 of the people in my book were in pain and were able to heal themselves in different ways. And then, so that'd be my main message about pain. They said to be in pain, there's a quote in my book too, to be in pain is hold on, let me get that in a second here. But to be in pain is inevitable, but to suffer is a choice. Something like that. You don't have to.
I have a few questions coming in from the Spaced Out Radio listeners for you, Dr. Leyla. We're going to start off with Cog. He's up in Alaska, and he is asking in the SOR Space Travelers room, why is Sudafed behind the counter and you have to show ID to get it?
Oh, okay. Well, if you saw Breaking Bad, that show, that would kind of explain it. But it was an ingredient that they used for making crystal methamphetamine or amphetamine. So, so people would just steal it because it's one of the main ingredients. And then I know they restricted it so you can only buy 2. But if you're a drug dealer, then they would just steal them. So then finally they put it behind the counter, and you have to get ID. So that's the reason for that. I mean, they're not crazy addictive. They help. They help with congestion. They kind of constrict blood vessels, but they're just one of the main ingredients in one of the in the drug labs. And if you anybody saw Breaking Bad, you'd understand, because that was they had to have a workaround for that, because that was the limiting ingredient. They had to find ways to get that, and then they had to figure out a way to replace it. So anyway, that's the answer to that. Does that make sense?
Yes. In the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker, Chris is asking, is there a holistic way to deal with diabetic neuropathy? I have a family member that takes gabapentin for it.
Yeah, diabetic neuropathy. Are they on a lot of medications? Can we ask questions back, or is it just...
Well, yeah, there is a little bit of time that would take for that. But let's just try and keep it generalized. Is there a holistic way to deal with diabetes?
Yeah, holistically, there's a documentary online that you can watch, and I'll get you the name in a second here. But, when people go to well, let me just explain. I'll take a minute to explain the diabetes, because diabetes isn't some rare disease. Just to explain what happens in diabetes is again, your body's trying to create balance when you have diabetes. So when we eat food, the food becomes sugar, right? It gets broken down to the sugar, and the sugar goes through the bloodstream and it gets delivered to the cells. And in the cells it makes energy, right? So you have sugar go through the bloodstream. And when you get too much sugar, then the cells don't want it anymore, right? It's like too much, and you start getting this insulin resistance. And so then the sugar gets left in the bloodstream. Okay, so if this doesn't make sense, just stop me. I'll say it another way. But you have too much sugar that gets stuck in the bloodstream with nowhere to go. So with all that sugar, you have too many particles. If you have too many particles to fluid in your bloodstream, the blood's not going to flow. It's going to be sludgy, right? It's going to stop. So what happens with the diabetes is it pulls fluid out of the cells into the bloodstream to compensate. It's trying to create balance. You can't have that thick blood. So it pulls it out of the cells, and once it does that, then you feel thirsty, right? Because now your cells are dehydrated because it moves the fluid to the blood, and then you urinate more. So those are the two symptoms of diabetes: is excess urination and thirst, excessive thirst and urination. And again, it's like you have too much sugar in the blood. So when you take the drugs, it's trying to get the sugar from the bloodstream into the cells. So they test the blood sugar then, right, to see if it's normal. So when they test it, so that's all it is your body's trying to create balance. And when you do these raw food diets, like if you read the China study, or the documentary is called Raw for 30 Days, these people ate raw food. They were told they're going to be diabetic forever, and they just did the plant-based food for 30 days. They don't have diabetes. Your body's just trying to find places to put the sugar. And then when you don't, you have these congested blood cells. And then the circulation becomes a problem. That's why you have the amputations, because the blood's not flowing. They have problems with the eyes and heart disease because the blood's not flowing. It's too much. And that's a very generalized way to say it. But with diabetes, if you just go back to basics and stop, the milk and the meat, in the China study, when people, reduce those a lot, when you get rid of milk and even change it for almond milk, the diabetes can be greatly reduced, and so will the symptoms. So if you say diabetic neuropathy, you could do hypnotherapy to help with that. You could do different things, but to get to the root of it would be to change the diet in a way where you're inspired, where you don't have that congested sugar, if that makes sense.
Eric is wondering if you could repeat that documentary name again.
Raw for 30 days. Or Simply Raw for 30 days. It's done in the Tree of Life, or Joshua Tree, at the center, and it's a free documentary. I think you can see it on topdocumentaries.com or something. You can Google it. But I know I was free a few months ago, and just 4 people go in there, and the food's not easy to eat. I mean, it's not fun, but if you're at a point where you want a new med, or it's like you can eat kind of bad and then eventually you start taking meds. It's like you kind of got to make decisions where you really can feel better than you ever have in your life. But, food tastes really good. It's not easy. Well, but once you feel that gray, yeah.
I know I can give up pretty much any food, but I absolutely refuse, as my God-given right as a Canadian man, to give up bacon. I will not give up bacon. I had this argument just on the weekend with the wife and one of her friends. So bacon is a staple in the Dave Scott diet. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I'm not going to mess with your bacon, okay? I promise you that. But the last few diets I was on, bacon was okay to eat when and I'm like, okay, so I don't know.
Well, then that's good enough for me. You just,
okay,
I'm gonna let the wife know you have personally prescribed bacon for me. You know what? We're gonna hop out. We're gonna hop out here for a break at the top of the hour. Wow, 1 hour done already, and we got a ton more to cover yet here on Spaced Out Radio with Dr. Leyla Ali. Check out her website, offbalancethebook.com. When you go to the site, you can check out her book, Off Balance, The American Way of Health, a pharmacist's perspective on why drugs don't work. It's a big, big topic these days. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. We'll be right back.
Greetings and salutations, space travelers, from the Chronicles of the Unknown team.
What is Chronicles of the Unknown? I keep hearing about this thing.
It's a new paranormal reality TV show based right here in beautiful British Columbia, Canada. Follow our team as we uncover claims of activity on the Caribou Gold Rush Trail. You can also follow us here every third Monday, where 2 members of our team will be available to answer your questions. We'll give you some equipment updates and some of our experiences on the road, right here on Spaced Out Radio on the Spreaker.com network.
Do you believe you've been in contact with extraterrestrials? Have you seen the Greys, the Mantis, or the Reptilians? I am Samantha Mullet, and on the second Tuesday of each month, you can listen and learn from my experiences with off-worlders on Spaced Out Radio's The ET Experience. With host Dave Scott, we'll sit down and chat about what's going on with our friends from other worlds. We'll also try to answer your questions, so please tune in on the second Tuesday of the month, only on Spaced Out Radio.
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Head to our website at spacedoutradio.com and click on our advertising tab. There, you will find an assortment of ways you can get your product out there with us, from radio commercials to banners and social media. Have a product you like our hosts to endorse? We can do that too. Visit spacedoutradio.com for more details.
Did you know that Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi, it's James Tyson from Spaced Out Weekend. Every Saturday and Sunday night, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, you can join me and my guests for some great chatter about what's going on out in the universe, or even in that dark part of the basement you really don't want to go back into. Well, let's find the answers to your experiences together. So come on up to Uncle Jimbo's cabin on the weekend. For more information, look us up at spacedoutradio.com.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Attention Spaced Out Radio listeners. For only $5 a month, you can join Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers. Your membership at spacedoutradio.com will give you access to private fan area on the website, get you a monthly newsletter, draws for monthly swag, and a whole lot more. Sign up today to become a part of the Spaced Out Radio experience.
Right here, this is where we divulge the fruit of our research. Here on the Webster Phenomena every Saturday night at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern on Spaced Out Radio. And we give it up to you guys, all the listeners and the live listeners. You can get something special and hang out in the chat room. And we love to have you. So we'll see you every Saturday night at 8 p.m. You know where.
If you're a fan of social media, you can follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. You can also follow us on Instagram, Dave Scott, SOR. Our YouTube channel, where our archives are stored, is Spaced Out Radio Show. And of course, our website is spacedoutradio.com. Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio Tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Tomorrow night on the show, we're stepping back into the ET realm. Karina Sables will join us. She will talk about the experiences she has had her entire life, as well as her family's life, with extraterrestrial abduction, and the story is not pretty. That is tomorrow night on Spaced Out Radio. Check out our new look website, if you don't mind, spacedoutradio.com. We have a bunch of features, some news articles on the SOR Space Wire. We also have affiliates of paranormal and radio shows that we would like you to associate with, because they do it the right way. They broadcast the right way. They investigate paranormal the right way. And if you have a paranormal team, you can sign up to be an affiliate with us as well. Just fill out the questionnaire. You can also join the SOR Space Travelers. For $5 a month, on average, you can sign up. You get to be a part of the exclusive club that gets a private area for members on the website. You also get to get a monthly newsletter. Automatically, your name goes in for monthly draws, for prizes, and so much more. The Spaced Out Radio SOR Space Travelers Club. We're going to give you a hell of a lot more than just access to our archives. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can do so at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, I can be followed at Dave Scott, SOR. Our YouTube channel, subscribe to it, is Spaced Out Radio Show. Tonight's SOR Space Travelers password is Panacea. Bill Cardwell has set the password at Panacea for the night, so make sure you use that in the SOR Space Travelers Club. We also want to give a shout out to Denise, who is listening in from the state of Texas today. Thank you so much for checking us out tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We are talking with Dr. Leyla Ali tonight. Her book is called Off Balance: The American Way of Health, a Pharmacist's Perspective on Why Drugs Don't Work. You can go to offbalancethebook.com, you can go to drleilaali.com, and holisticmedicalnetwork.com to find out more information. Welcome back, Doctor. 1 hour down, a couple more to go.
You're right, it's going by quickly.
I told you that. And you were like, I don't know, I've never done more than an hour. Well, tonight you get your marathon. This is what you've been training for the entire time to get into the media.
Did I sound whiny like that? Anyway, go ahead.
No, not at all.
I'm just kidding. Okay.
I want to start off with a couple of questions that we have from the audience. And this comes from Max. He is asking, what is a better drug for type 2 diabetes to use? Because the one he is on, he hasn't mentioned what it is, just doesn't seem to be working very well. Is there something, let's ask it this way, is there something holistic that he could be using rather than over-the-counter drugs?
Well, yes, absolutely. I know there's some herbs, and I actually have a little booklet that I could pass over that I've compiled some information on alternatives for diabetes. But, I think I haven't looked at it for a while, but bitter melon, but there's a lot of different things. I mean, I would start with watching Raw for 30 days, watch that documentary. But, it depends on, how high is the blood sugar? Are we just borderline? Is there just some slight changes you can make to get off the medication? I mean, that's what I do. Most people in diabetes are on metformin or glipizide or glyburide or a combination of, a couple of those. After that, then they have some more newer ones that are expensive and they cost a fortune. And then, again, then there's the insulin that's going to help the blood sugar get from the blood to the cells. But again, I would just recommend going back to basics. So, I mean, if I had diabetes, I would probably take the metformin, glyburide, or glipizide temporarily until I get back in balance. That would be my aim. So, I'm pretty anti-drug. And again, he didn't mention what he's on, but you would just want your body to get the balance on its own. Yeah.
I believe he is on Novolog insulin that contains aspartic acid. That is aspartame. It made him sick. His muscle pain, nerve jumping in his legs and feet. It's made him very uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, say like all these drugs have side effects. I haven't heard of that actually, but is he? And I mean, I don't know. Is he off of it now, or he's?
No, that's what he's currently on.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I don't know how high it is, but there's okay. So if I had diabetes, you know, again, the whole food thing is good. The raw foods, I would really limit the dairy and the meat, because those two things make a big, they play a big role in, you know, causing, like reducing those could be maybe enough just to do it. And of course the sugar. There's a lot of herbs I have in the booklet here. Asian ginseng, dandelion root, fenugreek, garlic and onions are both good for it too. Bitter melon, which is very bitter. So there's a lot of different ones you can take with it. Hypnotherapy is great too. Like the guy in my book who healed himself, he had neuropathy, and his legs would go numb all of a sudden, you know, because his nerve cells would just die, and the doctors had nothing for him. I mean, he would take this really expensive medication every 2 weeks. It was like $10,000 a month, and he did hypnotherapy and completely healed himself. And you can always use hypnotherapy to make your body work better. And you know, a lot of people use it for cravings and smoking and cravings and, you know, small things. But for him, he was like, all the cells in my body are happy and healthy. I command my immune system to stop attacking the nerve cells, and the nerve cells, I command you to grow back. I mean, he did this. This is what he did to heal himself, you know? And he would have been disabled. He would have been, like when you look at these people, the one that was had chronic fatigue, if they were going along the doctor's path, they'd be crippled. They'd be disabled by now, you know? But they didn't. They went on their own, and they figured it out. So, and a lot of them were disabled for a lot of years until they figured it out. So
I just want to clarify, Max was on regular insulin, and Levemir, if that makes sense.
Yeah, regular is like they take it a few times a day with meals, and then the Levemir is the long-acting one. So, yeah, I mean, I'd be happy to send Max a copy, e-copy of that booklet. He could read through it, but the diabetes I see is a bigger picture. I mean, is Max willing to change some big things in the diet? And I mean, you know, you could do the hypnotherapy to command the body to work better. You know, there's just a lot of, you can reverse it. You can reverse diabetes in a couple weeks if you really want to.
That's very interesting. That's a strong statement to make. That it
I've
only
seen
takes...
it. I mean, I've seen it.
Does that include children as well?
Yeah, I mean, children. Again, the explanation I share with the diabetes is your body has too much sugar. It's trying to find a place to put it. You get the drugs and it's trying to jam it in the cells, but things, you know, something's got to give. And now you think that kids getting it now. They used to be adult onset diabetes. They changed it because now the kids get it. Why? Because we're eating so much more food so much earlier. So it's not this contagious disease. It's just life. It's all lifestyle. It's all processed food. I mean, and the food we eat too. I mean, just, you know, the raw food, things that come out of the earth. You know, we don't want things in a box that are processed and breaded and fried and dipped in ranch. You know, those are all bad. So, but just going, it's really about going back to basics. Your body isn't diseased. It's trying to regain balance so much. You know, and just all the sugar and the processed food and everything like that. So if you go back, if you watch that raw, if you watch, another one is Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead, and he did juicing, and that's amazing. There's two guys in there, and he had autoimmune disease, and the doctors couldn't do anything for him, and he just did raw juice for like 60 days, and it's reversed. Again, just going back to basics, getting rid of the junk, the processed food that your body's trying to figure out what to do with it.
Right.
And it's enough to heal a lot of things.
Nick has a question in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker, and he is asking, Dr. Ali, what are your thoughts on the continual overprescription of antibiotics? How or why do trained doctors prescribe them so nonchalantly, especially with all their training and education?
You know, they're trained by the drug companies now, you know? I mean, again, it's that vicious circle. It's like they don't know. Doctors aren't trained on the alternatives. They're trained that holistic things they're inferior. They laugh at them. It's quackery, you know? But they're not trained on the body healing itself. It's not even trained on how food causes disease. You know, and another thing that we can go into is emotions and disease. You know, emotions that aren't dealt with can cause disease and do cause disease. Doctors aren't trained anything. They're trained that you have a symptom, you give this drug. So, you know, doctors, one of the main messages in my book is people depend upon doctors for all their health care needs. But the simple truth is doctors aren't trained in health anymore. They're trained in drugs. And if you had this exotic garden, it'd be like depending on your pesticide expert for full, complete care of your exotic garden. Right? Because, you know, your garden needs water and nutrients and sun, and all they know how to do is give you drugs and pesticides, right, to kill bugs or whatever, and leave a toxic mess. So doctors aren't trained in health anymore, and they don't know it. I think that's one of the biggest problems we have.
Corey is asking a question in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker. What is a good natural food or herb for staving off depression?
Herb or herb for depression? And that's a big question, too. I mean, there's a lot on depression. Is it temporary? Is it long-term? I mean, it's not an easy question there. I mean, I could give a couple herbs and stuff, but some people that heal depression, like one of the people I've listened to for a long time is Abraham Hicks, and they talk about your thoughts and your feelings and things like that. You know, there's some teachings that teach you that your feelings you're responsible for them. I know, you know, you get in that mode where you get stuck there, but they're kind of teach you about finding that, I mean, feeling the pain and the depression and letting it in and then letting it go and finding thoughts that feel better. You know, the Prozac was made from, there's an herb that's like it, which is called something, I'm sure people are listening going, I know what it's called, but I'm blank right now. But there are herbs that you can use to help with that, but definitely some mind training and some, you know, holistic emotional things can help too. If that makes sense, instead of just like a herb.
I tell you, I use this show as my antidepressant.
There you go.
I was
St. John's Wort is one. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I got to tell you this, though. I suffer from anxiety and depression, and I was on, oh goodness, I can't even remember the name of, Wellbutrin. That's what I was on, Wellbutrin, to fight my depression and anxiety. And a couple months after I started this show, I didn't realize, because my energy was so high from doing this show, that I was no longer taking my meds, and that I had actually ran out. And I am now drug-free since January of 2015.
And why? Because you found your purpose. You found something that you're supposed to be doing, right?
Well, I found that for me, and I'm not saying this works for everybody, but I found something that was positive in my life that gave me that internal high that I needed in order to combat my own demons.
Right.
And so every night, I usually go to bed with feeling exhausted, but I feel really good about myself because I've done something that's good for me. So, believe it or not, this radio show has done a lot for me in regards to my own personal health.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, you know, you're serving your purpose, and Tony Robbins talks about depression too. He's like, change your posture when you walk and you won't be depressed. You can't be depressed if you're walking like this. And being focused on gratitude and the small things, like a lot of the really successful people, they wake up and really grateful for, even Jack Canfield was talking. He's like, I'm grateful for the blue sky and the coffee, the cup that's holding my coffee, and all these small little things when you focus on them. Because, we have control of our thoughts, right? And it kind of takes an effort to learn to focus on, find thoughts that feel better. But I think what you do, too, is great, too.
I am very happy for clean tap water where I live.
Clean tap water. You have clean tap water? That is awesome.
I am drinking out of my clean tap water right now.
Wow.
Yes.
That's amazing. I should go see what that's like.
Come way up north. There's so much fresh water up here. Question from the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker. This comes from Pelican. I believe they are a brand new listener. What's a good drug for people with reflective sympathetic dystrophy? RSD?
I don't know what that is. Sorry, I don't know that term. Let me see if I can look it up. Reflective sympathetic. I've never, ever heard of that. Maybe there's another name that we know here. Let me check.
I've never heard of it either. So I wish I could help you out.
Oh, look, Google's heard of it.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, so clinical syndrome of variable course and unknown cause characterized by pain, swelling, vasomotor dysfunction of an extremity. For the symptoms including pain, brain tap. Yeah, again, for this, the thing that jumps in my mind is the hypnotherapy. It looks like it's some kind of random thing. We didn't talk about emotions yet, but there's emotions behind all the diseases too, what they say. But yeah, the one thing, for something like this, burning pain, you don't know what it's caused from, it just kind of shows up. Hypnotherapy would be something I would jump into for that. But it's interesting. Another type of holistic health I learned about is called biogenealogy, biodecoding, New German medicine, and this German doctor, he got testicular cancer after his son died, and he kind of connected it. He realized that the trauma of his son died caused the cancer. He put it together, and he started asking his patients, did you have a trauma before your illness showed up? And he said all of them did. Like there's something traumatic in their life that's hard to deal with, and it causes disease. And he associated the testicular cancer as the body's kind of response to reproduce. It's like this biological adaptive thing where the body's working because, to create more testicular cells so he can have more kids kind of thing. Or women get ovarian cancer when, say, they break up with someone that they were supposed to have a baby with or reproduce with, or all the kids leave the home and go to college, and they can get ovarian cancer. It's like kind of like an emotional response to that empty nest. And lung cancer, it's not all the toxins in your body, it's your lungs trying to create more cells so you can get air in there because there's all these toxins building it up. But it's your body always working to create balance, an emotional cause behind a lot of it. So that's always, that stuff I find really fascinating. Again, any emotion pharmacy, we give some Prozac. But it's really amazing. The body's always working to survive, adapt, and create balance. And we completely miss all that in Western medicine.
Joe wants to know in the SOR Space Travelers Club on Facebook, does drinking a lot of water every day cause any body problems, or is it good for you?
They always say drink water, water, water. But I think they also mention that you want the minerals, too, because otherwise it'll flush through you. So the minerals are probably what's important to make sure you keep that. So, if you have, I would say 8 glasses, I think, is now standard. But I think it's really good to drink a lot of water and flush things out and, keep things flowing and hydrated. So, I don't think it's a bad thing, but, I know the minerals, too, is really important. Like, here's another example, too, that doctor you say. I went in there and said, I feel like thirsty all the time. And what does she do? She does this blood test that costs probably $800 for this autoimmune disease called, I think, Sjogren's or something. And it's like, you didn't even ask me what I drink or eat. You just do this test for autoimmune, You tell a holistic practitioner, I feel thirsty. I was like, well, what are you eating? Are you getting enough minerals? What about this and that? The doctor does a blood test, and it's just like, you see my point here, right? So
I totally see your point. Totally see your point.
Yeah, okay.
In the SOR Space Travelers room, Bob is asking, what is your opinion about turmeric and black pepper for reducing inflammation?
Gosh, I'm not really experts on these herbals. Turmeric, I've read a lot of good things about. I don't think you can go wrong with that. Black pepper, I heard it causes inflammation when you eat too much in your stomach. But again, I haven't really, as a pharmacist, I don't know these really well. Like I would refer them to like a herbalist, you know what I mean? But they're not my area of expertise. But I know turmeric is really good for heart health and inflammation, all kinds of great things. And if you juice it, I ate it once raw. It was not very good, but I think it's a really great overall product for people and their health.
Lori has a question in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker. Doctor, what do you think about cancer treatments that are considered experimental in the U.S., but already being used in Europe, such as freezing the cancer cells?
Gosh, cancer is like, that's another huge topic. I've met someone who froze their cancer cells, and, I think it works. I mean, cancer is something, that's a really big subject too, but she said experimental, but they're already using it elsewhere. I don't know. When I think of experimental, I'm thinking of chemotherapy and radiation and things like that are more experimental. But freezing doesn't sound so bad. Holistically, though, if you do cancer, they tell you should do body, mind, spirit, nutritional cleansing, affirmations, like the whole shebang once you have cancer. And again, if there's an emotional cause behind cancer, then it's something that needs to be addressed as well. So with cancer, you want to do, the lady in my book who healed herself from breast cancer and ovarian cancer a long time ago, she did all that. She did the affirmations, she did the raw food. You do wheatgrass, which really cleanses it out. And everything all at once. Like, you don't have time to kind of dabble into things at that point. But, again, cancer is another thing that it can be cured really quickly in a lot of cases, if you're willing to get down to the bottom of it. And they also say to forgive whoever. You can't hang on to angers or resentments or anything about anything. So, cancer is like the whole picture. So experimental is probably fine, but I would go to get to the root of the problem and the holistic view of everything.
Do you believe in your heart, or maybe from what you've studied, that there are cures for cancer out there?
Absolutely. Yeah, I've seen it too. There's a place in San Diego, and it's called Optimal Health Institute. And I've been there where I've met people that healed themselves from cancer, and they do the whole body, mind, spirit thing. You go for a week, you do raw food, you do wheatgrass, and they have body, mind, spirit classes, meditation. They use wheatgrass, and then wheatgrass pulp, the grass that comes out after you get the juice out. They actually tape that onto tumors, and it kind of helps pull them out too. So there's just all these natural ways to just get things resolved. So, and can all the people heal? It just depends on how far, how much are they willing to do, how bad do you want to live? Do you have things you still need to do? We're all going to hang out for a while, right? But I absolutely believe that people can heal from cancer, and that's one of the biggest scams of the Western medicine. They get that fear in you, right? They make you scared. And, once you have, what if you have a little growth, and then you go, oh my God, what if it's cancer? Now, all of a sudden, all these things come in your head, and if you go to these places, you learn that, wow, you could easily pull this out and you'll be fine. You know what I mean? If you if you have this different attitude that you can heal yourself because you know how, then a lot of that charge has gone away. So if there's a whole big fear behind it, there's a whole huge money, and there's a lot of suppression within the good cancer treatments. The stories of them being kicked out of the United States, being harassed to death. And people actually go to Tijuana for the cancer treatment there. They go from Europe and all over the world for the natural health clinics in Tijuana that are illegal here, not because they don't work, but because, they don't make a lot of money. We're owned by the pharmaceutical companies here in the United States. And I don't know exactly what the story is there in Canada, but here they've all been pushed out. A lot of them have been pushed out, so people don't know about them. They don't know it's possible. And yes, I think you can heal. I know you can. I've seen it. So,
what kind of cancers do you think have cures out there, but the FDA or up here in Canada, the Canadian pharmaceutical companies will not bring forward because that would cut into a hell of a lot of profit?
Yeah, what kind of cancers? All of them, really. I mean, cancer in a general sense, it's all the same. It's not all the same, but it's all, it's all treated the same. Chemotherapy, radiation, you don't have doctors telling you to cleanse and forgive and do hypnotherapy and eat raw food. They don't have them doing that. So, and again, you could look up emotional causes behind the cancers and get to the root of the problem. But there's some places that just, there's also Hippocrates Institute in Florida, which is more expensive, but they also have the raw food program, the wheatgrass, and they have a lot of alternative healthcare treatments there too. So all that stuff people can go and get treatments for. There's a Cancer Control Society, which I go to their seminar about every year. They have it on Labor Day weekend. I don't know, you guys have Labor Day weekend in September too?
Yes, we do.
Okay, the same holidays, but so they have bus tours to clinics in Mexico where people go for cancer treatments. And they've been doing a nonprofit holistic cancer treatment for 20 years. And their cancercontrolsociety.com, really good resource for holistic health for cancer.
On that note, we're going to hop out for a break here at the bottom of the hour. Dr. Leyla Ali is our guest tonight. We are talking about her book, Off Balance, The American Way of Health, a pharmacist's perspective on why drugs don't work. Her website, drleylali.com, holisticmedicalnetwork.com, and offbalancethebook.com. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. We'll be back with more of your questions right after this.
Have you ever had an extraterrestrial experience? One you just couldn't explain? Well, maybe I can help. Hello, I am Samantha Mullet. On the second Tuesday of each month, I will join Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio to bring a human aspect to ET contact. It's something I've lived with my entire life, and I'd love to help you understand. Let's share our experiences. The ET Experience, the second Tuesday of each month, only on Spaced Out Radio.
Fairies? Bigfoot? Dogmen? Trolls? Goblins? Hey, if it's cryptid in any way, I'm looking into it. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, also known as Spaced Out Radio's Crypto Guru. Join me every second Wednesday of the month on Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott, where we will talk about the stories people call tall tales. I will fill you in on the latest sightings and the hidden histories that are causing quite a stir. You can find everything at spacedoutradio.com.
Hi there, this is Jolene with Rivulet Reiki and Readings, and I want you to relax. Let me help you chill out and get in touch with your body, mind, and soul. In this busy world, sometimes we need to let go, and this is where I can help. Visit my website, rivuletrndr.wix.com/rivuletrndr, or my Facebook page, Rivulet R&R, to set up an appointment for relaxation, Reiki, or readings. No matter where you are, it's time for you to make time for you.
Would you like to expand your clientele? Have you ever thought of online radio advertising? Check out spacedoutradio.com to get your name out there. Our listeners support those who advertise with us, so why not give it a try? We have the most competitive advertising prices out there. Just click on the advertising tab on spacedoutradio.com and contact us today.
Are you an ET experiencer, but you just don't know what's going on? Are you too timid or shy to discuss it with anyone? Maybe I can help. Join me, R. Keith Andrews, the first Friday of every month on Spaced Out Radio, and I will help you to find the answers you're looking for. Together, I will help you understand the off-worlders and the true meanings behind your experiences. All you have to do is join us in the Spaced Out Radio chat room. See you there.
Every Saturday and Sunday night, as Dave Scott wanders aimlessly in the wilderness, you can come hang out with me, James Tyson, in Spaced Out Weekend. Starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, I'll take you along as we talk with some of the best experts in their fields. SpacedOutRadio.com is the place to find us. So sit down, relax, put your feet up. Enjoy the topics like the paranormal, supernatural, intuitiveness, and so much more. Hope to see you there.
Hi there, this is your psychic medium Joanna, and I would love it if you would join us every other Sunday on Spaced Out Weekend. With host James Tyson, we'll bring you personal psychic messages on two mediums and a large. Questions about love, life, career changes. We would love it if you would come and join us live. Call in and listen in for the experience. Allow us to open the doors to your other side. Two mediums and a large, heard only on Spaced Out Weekend at spacedoutradio.com.
Would you like to become one of our space travelers? All you have to do is click on the Space Travelers icon at spacedoutradio.com. For only $5 a month, you can get access to some great prizes, as well as private monthly shows, newsletters, and a members-only section on our website. Become a space traveler today.
Do you have a topic or a guest that you'd like to hear on Spaced Out Radio? Let us know at spacedoutradio.com, where you can sign up to become a Space Traveler member today. Or you can find us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on our Facebook page, Spaced Out Radio Show.
I don't want to take a thing from you, I just want to feel like something real with you.
Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Tomorrow night on the program, we will be joined by Karina Sables. She's an ET abductee. Her children are ET abductees. Her parents were ET abductees. Not the most pleasant experiences that their family has encountered. We'll talk about that tomorrow night on Spaced Out Radio starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time. Hey, while you're at it, check out our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have some great features on there, great articles from our team of bloggers. We also have the SOR Space Wire set up by Eric Markham, Spaced Out Radio's news director. You can also join the SOR Space Travelers Club, where for only $5 a month, you can enter to win monthly prizes. You get a private section on our website. You also get to take part in private group interviews, get a special letter each month in our email blast, and we're going to look for more stuff for you than just our archive. So sign up for the SOR Space Travelers today. It's pretty easy. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can do so at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, we can be followed at Dave Scott SOR, and you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show, to listen to our archives. Tonight we are talking with Dr. Leyla Ali. She is a pharmacist who wrote a really cool book, and it's called Off Balance, The American Way of Health, a Pharmacist's Perspective on Why Drugs Don't Work. And you can find that on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. It's a good book to add to your collection if you want to know what's up. I do want to remind the audience here with your questions that we are firing at. She is not a doctor. She is not a general well, she's a doctor, but not a general practitioner. So if you're trying to figure out why you're having these symptoms or those symptoms, that's not her job. Her job is to push the medicine over the counter that the doctor scribbles on those pieces of paper, and that's what she does. Her feeling is, in getting to know medicine and dealing with it on a daily basis, she sees what works, what doesn't, what has side effects, what doesn't, and why there's natural alternatives that aren't being pushed. That's what we're discussing today. Dr. Ali, welcome back to Spaced Out Radio.
Thank you. And yes, they do give us a doctor title. I think it's to help sell pharmaceuticals. But yes, thank you.
All right. There's a few more questions that I want to get into, and our audience has some as well. I'm going to start off with Chris's question in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker. Taking the medical industry and network as a whole, what aspect is the most powerful? For instance, what is the controlling center, if any at all? Is it all financial?
Yes, it is. It's financial. I mean, it's like, I have this little article, but in the 1900s, like, people could go to a medical doctor, a holistic practitioner, whoever, and doctors were trained. Everybody was trained in health, and now it's like, if you picture the doctors, it's just kind of, they're the puppets of the pharmaceutical companies, right? They're trained by them. I mean, so it's all money. It's money is behind everything. The drugs, I mean, they make so much money. I was reading about how they test a drug, and like I said, they just push it on the market as soon as they can. And if they barely made it off the market, they got advertisements all over the magazines, the internet, the TV, and, all of a sudden it's in everybody's consciousness, and they all want an exciting new drug, and it just makes lots of money. And even if it has side effects and gets pulled off the market, they'll pay like a fraction. They only pay like they make $5 billion on a drug, and they get busted, they'll pay like, $50 million, $500, $300 million. Like it's nothing, on what they have to pay in fines. So, yeah, money is definitely behind it all. If you want to get healthy, you really have to use your own intuition guidance system and know the doctor doesn't have all the answers. They don't. They're not trained in the basics of health anymore.
Corey has a question in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker. You keep going back to hypnotherapy. Have you done that before?
Yeah, I've done it, but I've also seen the results of people. And I haven't done it for anything serious, But, when I saw what he did, and he didn't know the cause, for things that if you don't know the cause, or maybe there's an emotion behind it, but you don't know, then, it's a way to make your body heal. And a few people I know, like the ones that have healed themselves, they kind of use their own techniques plus hypnotherapy. It's just a way to get to the subconscious mind. And I haven't had anything serious to use it with, and I'm not sure I feel I can really be hypnotized as well as some other people that have used it for big reasons. But it's definitely, I actually use acupuncture for myself a lot too. And acupuncture I love for like little symptoms that you have. If you go to the doctor and you have a little symptom, they don't have anything. But acupuncturists, they spend like an hour and a half, and they're asking you every question about what you eat and how you sleep, and stuff you don't even think about. And the doctor, you get 10 minutes with them, and a prescription drug. So for me, I use mostly acupuncture lately these days, but I've been to just different ones too, holistic practitioners. I've been to the raw food retreats where the people heal themselves from cancer, just because I'm so interested in this stuff, so. But that's what I really want to do is find kind of create guides for people that want to heal themselves from get off medications, and it's like, well, what's the emotion that's causing it? Let's look at how you can improve your thoughts and about your disease and things, like the whole picture. So that's my overall goal. And actually one of the websites that I had you mention, the Holistic Medical Network, we're creating a directory of practitioners that are trained both. They have to be trained holistically and medically, so they understand both sides of the world. Because I think these people, they go the extra step to get the big picture on health, and I think they're so important. They're like diamonds in the rough, and it's hard to find them. So we're trying to pull them out and see what they have to learn. Because if you go to Western medicine, you'll do this. If you try this, then you'll get this. So there's just a lot to know, and there's no guidance. There's no guides for it, and. Yeah, as far as hypnotherapy, I do see it as something that a lot of people can do, and even if it's not the full thing, a lot of people use it just as I guess you'd say an adjunct, or to use along with what else you're doing, A
question from Denise in the SOR Space Travelers. Dr. Ali, Do you feel that too many times people are diagnosed with things like fibromyalgia because doctors sometimes just don't know what the patient has, so they just decide it must be fibromyalgia or something similar?
It certainly could be. I just don't think doctors have the whole big picture of everything. So, the doctors just are so bad with just some general symptoms that, if you have this and that and then you get labeled, then once you have a label, then they have a protocol that they can follow for it. So that might be part of it too. It's like, you don't know, because they're really not, like I said, they're not trained on what to do with small symptoms. Oh, I'm tired. Okay, well, sleep more, right? They're just the whole balancing. There's nothing there. And I the way I feel is like, you go with small symptoms and they can't do anything, and they don't have anything to treat it. And that's exactly the analogy I have in my book. Like, if you're off balance with holistic health, they give you whatever you need to get back in balance. You need a nutrient, you need to detox, you need, is there emotion that you need to let go? What is it? And then get back in balance. So with, if you have a balance scale and you're off balance and you go to a doctor, they just put a brace there to make you more comfortable, right? They just hold you in place. And either the disease progresses or the side effects occur, and then you get another drug. So here you are, you're still off balance. You got two braces holding you up, and you're not getting any closer to healing. And if you can picture that, that's how I picture the Western medicine and the doctors and drugs. So it's then all of a sudden, everything falls over, and then you have a disaster. It's like people go from small symptoms to being on drugs, and then everything falls apart. The diabetes, if you stay on that, you can be more comfortable with drugs for a while, but then you're on 3 or 4 drugs. Pretty soon you're going to have organ failure and, amputation and things like that. So if you can picture the balances, I wish I had pictures to show you in the book, but, I just feel like with drugs, you're just kind of walking around off balance long term, and then things just can probably get worse. You could probably stay like that for a while and be happy, but, it's best to just get back in balance.
Nick has a question in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker, and it's a long one, so bear with me. I'm going to read War and Peace here now, and I'm just kidding, Nick. One of the causes of the development of so many big pharma medications and increase in prescriptions is due to the fact of overpopulation and lack of doctors to examine, diagnose, and treat us correctly. He agrees that natural remedies work, and he is open to them as long as there is sufficient research and data that backs them up. How do we fix this problem, Dr. Ali, which will only get worse if left alone? Do we need another type of healthcare professional that we are available to and backed by the government?
So, is he saying that doctors just don't have enough time to treat people well? Is that what the first sentence said?
Yes, he's basically saying overpopulation and a lack of doctors to examine, diagnose, and treat people correctly.
Yeah, I personally don't think it has to do with overpopulation. I think if they treated the ones they had correctly, again, you get 5-10 minutes with the doctor, and all they know how to prescribe is a drug. So yes, we're overpopulated, but, I don't think doctors are trained in health. I know I keep saying that, so I think that's the bigger problem. And what else was there? There's more there.
How do we fix the problem, which will only get worse if left alone? Do we need another type of healthcare professional that are available to us and backed by the government?
Yeah, absolutely, because there's naturopathic doctors. There's some that are trained in naturopathic. I think they're trained in herbals and drugs and, a whole different thing. So there'd be great providers. So we definitely need more. And the problem is that the insurance company doesn't acknowledge it. People have to want it. Like, they have to go and, ask your insurance, why aren't you paying for this? I need to get this. I want to get, insurance isn't going to pay for it, so people rise up, and people aren't going to rise up until they understand it, So it's just a long battle we have. But yeah, we definitely need, in my opinion, more practitioners to go see. that would have better answers. Because I feel like people go to the doctor and they're not getting solutions, they're getting a drug in a lot of cases. I mean, you know, how often you go and you say, I'm really depressed, and they tell you a natural way to deal with depression, or I've been angry, and they give you ways to deal with your emotions. No, you get a drug, right, for whatever it is. So, you know, for me, I think doctors, if it was my world, I would have doctors get out of the way as primary care practitioners and be one option. That's pretty extreme, right? But I would have them as be one option. So you get someone that's more generally and open to these holistic things and say, okay, well, maybe they need a drug for a while, but let's just, as soon as you get them on a drug, let's start figuring out how to get them off of it, right? Let's give them a temporary comfort so they can be more comfortable. But we don't want them to be on it for years, so let's start figuring out what else we can do. That's how my world would work.
And a follow-up question for Nick is, how do we incorporate both styles of treatment for the betterment of the population?
Well, I mean, it would just be better for everybody to get that balance, you know. But, I mean, people have to want it for one thing. And right now, a lot of people don't, and then doctors don't endorse it, and insurance companies don't endorse it. So, I mean, we have to get it at the individual level where you want it, because it's not, the path to least resistance is getting fast food. You don't even have to get out of your car. Then you can go get your drug in the drive-thru, and that's covered on insurance. And that's just the norm, and they make it easy. They make it cheap. And the healthier, longer way, you know, the healthier way is to go back to balance and make changes and deal with things that you don't want to deal with, you know. So it doesn't create the hype and the fun commercials like the drugs do, you know. You go to acupuncture and you get back in balance, but they don't have that money to have people on the commercials running on the beach, you know. You know what I mean? So the whole short, fast life is what sells, makes money, profits, gets in our consciousness, is on the commercials. I don't know. I feel like I'm babbling now, but I think if that makes sense. So how do we do it? People have to want it, you know. People have to want it. We've got a lot of work to do.
Where does marijuana play a role in everything here, in your opinion?
Marijuana, you know, I haven't looked too deep into marijuana. I know a couple of people that could speak for hours on it, but I know that's another one that's been suppressed, and I see a lot of good benefits on it. But I haven't dove into that like vaccines. I really dug into that. If anybody wants to talk about vaccines,
well, we can talk about. Well, let's talk about vaccines then. You know, I'm just back on the marijuana topic for a minute here. I am a firm believer that the biggest reason why marijuana has not been prescribed is because it's the miracle drug. It's the God drug out there that's going to help a lot of people more than what they actually say. Now, this is only my opinion. I understand that. But when you see what it's doing to help rid people, especially children, of seizures, when you see how it's helping people with glaucoma or any type of, you know, disease like Parkinson's or epilepsy, I think when you look at the benefits of it, the medical community and the pharmaceutical community should be really scared about that product because it's curing people. It's helping people deal with pain. It's helping people cope so that they can survive at a better rate. And of course, in my opinion, Big Pharma doesn't want that to happen because that costs money. That costs them money. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, and again, I haven't looked into that as much. I see a lot of people say the same things you do, and I believe it. I haven't looked into it myself as much as I want, but I wouldn't doubt anything you're saying right there, just from the general view I have on it, and just seeing how our world is. You know, I know they suppress a lot of things that help people, and I think that's just another one of them. And I know a lot of people that speak really highly of it and love it for the healing properties.
Eric has a question in the Space Out Radio chat room on Spreaker. The worst part is that, and he works in the medical field too, and he's saying the worst part is that the shortage in doctors is being caused by the medical schools. It is more like a hazing ritual than an actual curriculum. Do you believe that?
The medical school is like a hazing ritual? Yeah, that sounds kind of right. I mean, it seems like hazing ritual is kind of funny from a doctor. But, yeah, it's like they kind of teach you how to think. And, you know, again, they teach you that you're the boss on health, right? And so, yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I never heard it like that. I think it's funny, but it certainly makes sense. I mean, like I said like 10 times already, I don't think doctors are trained in the basics of health anymore. So, you know, you get out of medical school and everybody's expecting you to know stuff and you don't want to disappoint them and you got the doctor title. So I don't know, I like that.
Gail has a question in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Realistically, people are reluctant to eat a plant-based diet and or exercise. We're lazy. When they go to a doctor and he sees the patient is not motivated to change, do you still oppose prescribing medications? You know, I mean, if that's what you're going to do, that's what you're going to do. I mean, if you don't want to do anything and you know you're lazy and you want your drug, the world's set up perfectly for you, right? I mean, it's fine, I guess, if you want to be on diabetic meds, but you know, again, you're just going to. I mean, I don't know. It seems like if you're not going to help yourself and you're just going to be on these expensive drugs and slowly progress the disease, yes and no, I guess, would be the question, you know? So, I mean, if you don't want to do anything for your health, the drugs aren't going to help you only temporarily anyway. So why waste all that money on it, right? I mean, pay for it yourself then, I guess, if you don't want to do anything. But, I mean, that's sort of a big question too. So I would say yes and no. I mean, if you're in pain and you need those pain medications, then yeah, you should have pain medication. You know, but you should want to get off of them. Anyway, they are addicting. Very true. You wanted to talk about vaccinations for a minute. Do we need to vaccinate?
Vaccines for me, and again, here in California, they've got a mandatory starting just a few days ago, right, for the kids. And vaccines for me is like antibiotics, another area where good medicine gone bad. Because when we grew up, we had like 16 vaccines before we turned 18. Now there's like 65. There's no accountability with the drug companies. They can't get sued. They're protected from getting lawsuits. And they don't have the test. So, I mean, the first vaccine now is when you're born. They give you, like, I think, hepatitis B. So as soon as you get out, they all have toxins in them. It's really insane. It's really a bad situation now because, you know, it's hard, like the vaccines, they boost the immune system without causing the disease, right? So like antibiotics. So then you come across a disease and your immune system's already prepared to fight it, so you don't get it. So it's a great idea. It started as a great idea, but now they're just cramming them in you. They have, I mean, there's so many, and, you know, and if you watch the documentaries on that, too, the parents are talking, and their kids are fine. They get the MMR vaccine, and all of a sudden they go into a daze, and they never, ever come out. And it's really sad. It's, like, devastating. And then you go to the doctor, and the doctor's like, oh, no, that just happens at that age. And so it's really bad. I hope people wake up and see what's going on with the vaccines, because it's a really bad situation. The drug companies, they're going to stop making them because they kept getting sued because they caused so much damage. So they got outlawed from being sued for it now. So now if you get damage from it, there's like a tax fund that will help pay the damages, but then you have to spend all these years in court too. And of course they don't test them for all these things, so there's no proof. You know, so it's really bad news. I don't know. It's just too much. I mean, it started out good, now it's terrible.
Would you recommend a parent to vaccinate their child?
I would recommend that they look at every single one and weigh it and not do anything blindly. Like, do you really need hepatitis B when you're born? You know, do you really need this one? The ones that are combos too are bad. I mean, and you know, the flu shot. What if you get the flu? Why don't you just sleep for a week? You know, I mean, you can sit out and rest, and people go, I can't rest. Well, it's just like fast food then, right? Because you don't have time to make food, so you get fast food. Same thing. Flu shot's crazy. You get all these toxins in you just so it might protect you from the flu. It might be the strain that's going around in the world right now. So I would definitely not do any flu shots. And every other one, I would just really look at each disease. And I know there's actually a doctor around here in Orange County who helps people, you know, weigh the risks and space them out and not even do all of them, you know. So I would look at each one carefully and not take a doctor's blind recommendation.
On that note, we are going to take a break at the top of the hour here. Dr. Leyla Ali is our guest tonight. She is a pharmacist in California. Her website, drleilali.com. Her other sites are holisticmedicalnetwork.com and offbalancethebook.com. You can pick up her book, Off Balance, The American Way of Health, A Pharmacist's Perspective on Why Drugs Don't Work, on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, any major bookstore. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. We'll be back right after the break at the top of the hour.
Become more intimate and interactive with Spaced Out Radio. Join our Space Travelers Club with your new membership. For $5 a month, we'll provide you with special access to the website, monthly prize draws from books to psychic readings, along with monthly newsletter, private interviews, and more. Sign up today to be part of Spaced Out Radio's experience.
Every month on Spaced Out Radio, we look into the deep and dark reports of cryptids roaming around the world with me, Rob Morphy, from Cryptopia.us. I would love it if you would join me and host Dave Scott as we delve into the most arcane stories and reports regarding creatures of the unknown. My job is to hunt down the details and bring the evidence forward to you. These aren't your regular Bigfoot stories I'm talking about either. You can find out more about crypto history at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Strange creatures lurking in the night, the sounds of wood knocking in the forest, odd happenings right out of a fictional world. These are the reports I love. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, and I would love it if you join me and Spaced Out Radio host Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month on our journey into the unknown land of cryptozoology at spacedoutradio.com. From Mothman to Frogman and everything in between. Hey, they don't call me the crypto guru for nothing.
Is the 24-hour world starting to wear you down? Let me from Rivulet Reiki and Ratings lend you a hand. Hi, this is Jolene, and if you're in need of Reiki or a realm reading, come to my website, rivuletrr.wix.com/rivuletrr&r, and let us help you out. At Rivulet, I specialize in healing your body, mind, and soul, no matter where you are. And be sure to check out the Rivulet R&R Facebook page for your best deals. Remember, it's time for you to make some time for you.
Find yourself constantly looking up in the sky, looking for answers? Have you had extraterrestrial contact? Are you an abductee? Looking for answers to your experiences? Hi there, I'm R. Keith Andrews, Spaced Out Radio's resident ET expert. Join me live the first Friday of every month where I take questions from the Spaced Out Radio chat room and help you understand those from the far-off world. It's 2 hours of knowledge every experiencer should listen to. Hope to see you there.
Did you know that Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi, it's James Tyson from Spaced Out Weekend. Every Saturday and Sunday night, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, you can join me and my guests for some great chatter about what's going on out in the universe, or even in that dark part of the basement you really don't want to go back into. Well, let's find the answers to your experiences together. So come on up to Uncle Jimbo's cabin on the weekend. For more information, look us up at spacedoutradio.com.
Would you like to connect with us on Spaced Out Radio? Head to spacedoutradio.com to check out the latest shows, guests, and sponsors. And don't forget to sign up for the Space Travelers Club. You'll find all you need at spacedoutradio.com. Welcome back for the final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. I know I've said it on this show, and I'll say it again. I love the fact that when I look out my window, it's 11 o'clock Pacific time, and I'm so high up north, there's actually still daylight out north of me. That's kind of cool. I don't know, this is my first time ever experiencing that in my life, so I'm just taking advantage of it while I can by staring out the window. Hey, thanks so much for joining us tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Tomorrow night on the show, Karina Sables will join us. We're going to talk about the bad and the dark side of extraterrestrial abduction, with her experiences, her family's experiences, even her children's experiences. That is tomorrow night, right here on the mighty SOR. You can go to our website, spacedoutradio.com. You can check out our list of affiliates that we associate with. You can also check out our great team as well. Read up on our blog, see what we're writing. We got some handy information out there from some very talented writers, along with joining this Space Out Radio SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can go on there. You can sign up for the private group. You can get a private section on the website, a monthly newsletter, sign up for private group interviews with special guests, win prizes, and we're thinking of more ideas as well. We want to give you a hell of a lot more than just access to our archives. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, I can be followed at Dave Scott, SOR, and you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. Tonight we are talking with Dr. Leyla Ali. Her website, drleylaali.com. You can also check out holisticmedicalnetwork.com and offbalancethebook.com. Her book, Off Balance, The American Way of Health, a pharmacist's perspective on why drugs don't work. We bring in Dr. Ali now. Leyla, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Oh, thank you. I'm having a lot of fun talking the talk here.
No, absolutely. And right before the break, we were talking about vaccinations. And I want to clarify. You're not telling people don't get your children vaccinated. What you're telling them is watch what they are injecting into your children's body. Because a lot of the things, like you said, babies don't need Hep B shots. You have to be careful of what you're putting into your children's bodies. Am I correct?
Yeah, I mean, does the baby need any shot as soon as they're born and get right into the world here? But yeah, I mean, I'm not a parent, but if I was, I would look at each one individually and really look, like what happens if you get the measles? Is it a deadly disease? Is it something that's so bad, or do you recover from it? Do you not need, you know what I'm saying? So weigh the risk and benefit of every single one. I wouldn't just take what the doctor says and do it for that.
But how does the public know? Because we are supposed to trust our doctors. We are supposed to trust the general practitioners, pediatricians, because they're in the know. And the only closeness that we get to that is Google.
Yeah, you have to look for those practitioners and doctors that are enlightened and go beyond the reading the book and figure out that there are problems with it, you know. And I mean, there's a doctor in the one documentary whose kid, that happened to his kid. He vaccinated his kid, and then he became autistic, and he never came back. These kids are growing and developing and making eye contact and getting stronger every day, and then they get these shots, and it just stops. And I know people, it's happened to them, and they go to the doctor, and they're like, "Oh no, it's not that. It just happened," you know. So, you know, yeah, you can't. Doctors aren't they're trained to give you the vaccines and listen to them. So, you're on your own. I mean, that's what it is you're on your own on a lot of stuff until you find people that understand it. So.
Do you believe then there is a correlation and a link between these vaccination shots and autism?
Yes, yeah, there definitely is. I mean, they had one. Yes, that's like such a big cover-up. So I've just read a lot of stuff about that, and they just kind of discredit everything that says that there might be. And then, I mean, how can you? They just like make a point to say, "Oh yeah, for sure, there's no correlation." They make studies say whatever they want. I mean, that's what I was reading too. Is like if you need a study that says this, and that's what they're going to come out with to help prove it. So you can't even trust studies anymore. I mean, those are just made up as well. I mean, you got to just use your own instincts and guidance and look beyond the lines. And forget mainstream news and media where they're telling you stuff. Like who's making the profit off of that? So it's kind of a dark world, but that's how it is now. I mean, you can't just go and trust your doctor and take their word for it. And I think for a lot of professionals too, like if you go to an accountant, they know the accountant law is better than you, so they trust their doctor. You trust your lawyer to know the law is better than you, but the doctors you can't, because they're just trained by the pharmaceutical companies. And so that's why you see even really smart, educated people that are just going and doing what their doctor says, because they do what they say for their job, and they think doctors are doing the same. But it's just worse. It's so much worse than people realize.
You're convinced then that autism is caused by that, or that's one of the functionalities that causes autism then?
Yeah, there's definitely a big cover-up with the autism thing and Andrew Wakefield and all that, because, I mean, why would all these people be fighting the pharmaceutical companies saying it? But there's just, and I've seen it too, parent after parent saying they gave him the vaccine, the kid never came back. And then they give them a study that says, no, no, no. And you hear what people say about their kid. They know what happened to their kid. And then they give this one big study. And again, you can create a study to say whatever you want. They change the definition of results. They do anything to make it look like what they need to make it look like, so it'll sell. So, when you have a pharmaceutical company said they did a study and it doesn't cause autism, and you have all these parents saying, my kid did this and it does that, I believe the parents.
Question from Bob in the SOR Space Travelers. A little bit off topic here. How many or what percentage of pharmacists actually come down with substance abuse problems of their own?
I don't know a percentage, but I don't think I think it happens, It's just all handy there. It's funny because they give you a drug test before you get a job. Then you're surrounded by all the drugs, and they don't really test you after that. But I don't know the percentage. I know it's definitely a problem, and I know they have some support that they give you. Like if you get, if you get a DUI, if you're driving under alcohol, and the state board finds out about it, you have problems. So they're pretty strict with that stuff, but they do have some rehabs and things that you can do. I don't know any percentages, but I know it's certainly a concern in the profession.
Joe is asking in the SOR Space Travelers Club, why are they putting mercury in flu shots? I have heard it's a preservative, but that's one of the dumbest things he has ever heard.
Well, welcome to my world, right? But yeah, that's what it is. It's a preservative, and thimerosal is what it is. And they took it out a lot of them, but it still is in there. And they said they have these multi-dose vials, so you'll have one vial of flu shot that they use for 10 different people, and if you don't shake it, then one person, if somebody forgets to shake it, then you get a huge amount of the mercury in it too. So it can be really just accidentally toxic like that. And but yeah, that's if you look at the ingredients, you can go to the CDC website and look up vaccine ingredients. And there's monkey serum, bovine, and aluminum, all kinds of crazy things that are in all these shots. And it has a listing of all the inactive ingredients. And, it's I'm sure there's a reason for each of them, but if you look at them, you go, God, you're giving to these, 6-month-old kid, 1-year-old kid. Nobody knows what does it. I mean, who tests them? Who offers their kids to do drug tests on vaccines, right? Like, oh, yeah, test my kid on these toxins. But no, and now they're all mandatory. They just give it to them. So there's no test. I mean...
Would you recommend the flu shot?
No. How's that for an answer? No, I don't, flu is, if you got the flu, are you going to die, or you just have to sit out of your life for a while and recover, So the flu shot has a bunch of stuff in it. I find it hard to believe that they put something in there that's going to circulate the same air. I mean, viruses change all the time. So I wouldn't waste my time on a flu shot. And they give them out for free at my work, actually. I'm like, no thanks. But I hear people say, too, if I don't get the flu shot, I get the flu every year. It's like, it's kind of like a belief, If you think you're going to get the flu, you're going to get the flu. But if you think that they had that one virus that's going to circulate and it's going to protect you, there's so many issues. And it's toxic, too. So it might work, it might not. You probably wouldn't have got the flu anyway. Or maybe you got the flu and you got a different strain. And they got all this weird stuff in there that your body really doesn't want or need. So they say unless you're really sick and some reason that if you get the flu you're going to die, then maybe get it. But I don't get it.
I had the flu shot 1 year, and that was in 1999. And I have never been more sick in my life than when I had that. And the irony is, I stopped taking it because I just didn't want to get sick anymore, and I figured, you know what, it had to be the shot, because I'd never been that sick in 1 year. I'm the type of person where I get 2 colds a year. Normally I get one in the winter and one in the summertime. I haven't got my summer one yet, knock on wood. Okay. Yeah. My cousin is one of the top disease specialists in Canada, and one of his jobs is, he, as a doctor, he prescribes and gives flu shots, and he'll go around to works and clinics and places of business and schools, and he'll give the flu shots to people who want it. And he's like, oh, you should come on in and get a flu shot. And I said to him, Doc, because I call him Doc, I said, I will never come in and get a flu shot. He goes, why not? He goes, that way you won't get sick. And I said, you know what? I've never been more sick in my life since I got a flu shot. That 1 year I got a flu shot. I said, ever since then, I've never been that sick. And he looks at me, he goes, really? And I'm like, yeah, really. I said, so good on you for doing it, but I'll stay without it. And
yeah,
I haven't been very sick, since then. So I'm a big believer that the flu shot, and I realize a lot of places of work now make it mandatory for employees to get it, especially in health clinics and hospitals. But if it doesn't work, why are they making it mandatory?
That's another question. Like, why are the drugs the only thing covered on insurance if they just make you sick and cost a fortune? There's a lot of money behind the vaccines. Go back to the money. But, yeah, that's pretty funny that you did it one time and you figured it out. You're like, mm-mm. And, the belief system, too, if you think you're going to get a cold every year, maybe this year you're going to skip your cold. What do you think about that? And maybe you're just not going to get it this year, and maybe not next year. Like, you don't have to, Like, we all have these expectations of what's going to happen to us if we don't do this or that, So I don't think you're going to get sick this year. That's what I'm thinking.
What? I actually developed a system when I worked in mainstream radio that works for me for the most part.
Uh-huh.
The second I feel something may be creeping into my body, I quickly pop 2 Advil cold and sinus, and I absolutely douse my body in Vicks Vapo Rub. And usually by the time I wake up the next morning, it's gone. I'm not feeling it anymore.
That's awesome, right? Get it on out. If you don't even invite it in, get out of here.
Yeah, so I just try and battle it before it actually happens now. Now, Advil,
right?
I should go after them for sponsorship on this show, but Advil loves me because of it, because I love their cold and sinus. It's the only thing that works for me, you know. And I think, you know, you have to go with what works for your body. In the end, that's what it's about, is it not? It's just going with what works for your body. Because if your body's telling you this doesn't work, i.e. Tylenol cold and sinus does not work for me, I shouldn't use it. And that's what you're saying. Overall, this whole conversation and in your book and everything is you may not need it. Go with what your body is telling you. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Listen to your body and you know, your own guidance system. I mean, there's different things you can do. You know, if you do something and your stomach cramps up, you know, or you get tight, and, you know, that's your guidance system telling you what to do, what not to do. So, and we get disconnected from it because we're told that doctors know our health better than we do. So, but yeah, absolutely. I think getting reconnected to our guidance system is probably the best thing. And, you know, and our beliefs too on what's going to happen. I mean, they really try and make you believe, you know, we have these limiting beliefs in our head, right? That you need to do this, or they're screaming at you. One lady in my book, she had cancer, and her doctor she said she was screaming at her to go get surgery to get it removed, and she's like, no, I'm not going to. I'm going to heal it myself. And, you know, you have your doctor screaming at you. You're like, you got to do what the doctor says, right? He knows what he's doing, but she kind of knew. She already had a friend that went through that route of chemotherapy, radiation, you know, yeah, and then died after tons of money and pain and suffering. And then she passes away, and she's like, I'm not doing that. So, yes, I agree.
Joe wants to ask a quick question here. He's forgotten to ask you, which vitamins do you recommend to fight illness, or do you recommend vitamins?
Vitamins, well, I went to a nutritionist, and they told me what I was low on. I mean, the vitamins, you know, it's so hard to find a vitamin. You really want to get one where you trust the source, you know, not something in a drugstore, but something where they take pride on their product and they make it well. But, you know, I think just getting the nutrients that we need, you know. I mean, I did a test just to see that I needed some vitamin B and vitamin D, but that's what I would do. You want to see what you're missing. The multivitamins at the store, I don't know how good they are or if you need them, but you could certainly, you know, I went to a holistic nutritionist, and they knew what products were good. And, yeah, you really want someone that you can trust when you're going to get your vitamins. There's one doctor, he sells stuff in Marina Del Rey, and he said when he was first a doctor, he was excited to go to this vitamin factory, and he thought everything was going to be, you know, holistic and natural, and it was just kind of, they made the cheapest products out of whatever, you know what I mean? So he made his own product line, which is really trusted, but that I would definitely go for a natural source, you know, something like Sprout sells or Whole Foods or something, and get to know it, and something overall. And, you know, you think people eat stuff all over the world. I mean, if they're in Iceland, they're eating something they're eating, but you eat the natural foods. I mean, if you get the whole diet where you're getting everything, you're good, right? So there's just like I'm just trying to say, like, you could be in Japan or you could be in Iceland or Africa, but there's still food that your body needs and can use. And just getting those whole foods in, I think, is more important than the vitamins. That's basically a message from the book, The China Study, too. Is just getting those whole natural foods in is more important than you know. And again, supplements. They say supplements for things that you're low on.
Do you feel then that people should concentrate more on eating the healthier foods rather than popping multivitamins or vitamins in general, or something along the lines of any type of over-the-counter medication?
Yeah, definitely food. You know, let food be thy medicine. That's definitely the beginning point of everything. You know, it's just getting the nutrition in that you need, and getting rid of toxins that you don't need. Because I mean, your digestive system can really get clogged up when you eat that processed, you know, food, like nobody knows what the food's made out of anymore, right? But yeah, just eating like real food in simple ways, I think, is number one. So, and then vitamin supplements like that, if you're low on something, then it's probably a good idea. But yeah, just again, my whole thing is going back to basics. So the basics of health, like the forgotten basics of health, nutrition and letting go of negative emotions and having empowering thoughts, and getting rid of toxins in your body that don't belong there and make you sick. So really going back to basics is where I kind of head towards.
But for a lot of people, they want to believe the science that has gone into this. They want to believe that the Hippocratic Oath still means something to doctors. And you're kind of contradicting that it doesn't tonight because of what you have stated.
Yeah, I mean, let food be thy medicine and do no harm to the patient. I mean, doctors aren't trained in nutrition. I wasn't trained in nutrition. I don't know much about it. And then do no harm. Well, it's like, like that's still, even do no harm, it's like, well, we're still giving toxic drugs over natural products and simple solutions. So that doesn't really happen much either, I mean, people, I'm sure they have it in their head that, we're going to watch the side effects so they don't do harm, but they could do better. They definitely do better.
How does a person know if they have a trustworthy doctor or not?
I would just say someone who understands. If you have a doctor that's mocking any holistic or anything different, then that's when I would. If they're open to it, if they understand that, wow, maybe they don't have all the solutions, maybe there's something else out there that they didn't learn, then that's the kind of open attitude that you want, But someone that goes to their doctor and said, I have chronic fatigue, and he laughs at him and says, I have it too, not a good doctor, right? So I would say someone open. I mean, they're not trained in all the solutions, but I'd say the most important thing is, do they get that? Do they understand that? Are they open to other things, or do they think they know everything? Because, if they don't, I mean, they don't know everything. And if they're just going to discredit people and not be open to it, then that's not in your best interest.
No, I understand that. But, I mean, in the end, doctors are human. They do make mistakes. So how do you draw the line between what could be an innocent mistake by a human being and someone who's in there for straight profit and doesn't really give a crap about what's going on except for what they are getting off the side from the lobbyists and the drug lords that are out there trying to push these prescriptions on them?
Well, I mean, I don't know. If a doctor does that, do they realize that they're not good, or they just kind of have it justified that they deserve it? I mean, they probably still think they're doing fine. Maybe you're getting more expensive drugs. I mean, I'm just wondering, do they justify it in their head? I don't know. I mean, the way I see doctors is they're more, not evil, but more naive, on what's really going on. They're just giving patients what they want. It's so much easier to give patients a drug because then they're happy and they leave versus talking about other things that they don't really know about anyway. So I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's something like that. I think that people get caught up in stuff like, you get this and that, and pretty soon you're doing stuff just for the money. I don't think they start out like that, There's probably other professions where you could do better.
Have you ever called a doctor out?
Well, have I called a doctor out? I guess not when. I mean, the one doctor I went to, I did write her a letter and tell her I thought she was what I thought of her. So I guess like that I did, but not so directly. I mean, I'm kind of blank on that, but it's just like. Like right now, I don't really talk to doctors. I talk to the patients. So would I? I mean, I probably would, but I guess not really. Not like they deserve.
Well, I mean, because there has to be some sort of professional etiquette between the two sides, you being the pharmacist, them being the general practitioner, or do they try and bully you saying, well, you're just the pharmacist, I'm the one who makes the decisions?
Yeah, so I think in most cases, pharmacists would be like, if you have a doctor that trusts you, then you can do more and take more control. But the doctors are considered, above the pharmacists. I mean, they do write the prescriptions and we check their work, right? We make sure they don't kill anybody. But they're in that world, they're the hierarchy. They're above. So, would I call them out if I thought they were doing something wrong? I would. I wouldn't have a problem with it. But, yeah, so pharmacists basically, like I know some that, they got to know a doctor, so now they have all these extra responsibilities. And it's kind of like, I don't know, it's still that world, where they're all dealing with drugs. So, I mean, that's nothing too exciting for me, I guess, is what I'm trying to say,
No, but do you feel you have to hold them accountable, though? From the person because you're the person in the end who is the last, you're the last line of defense when those drugs go over the counter.
Yeah, so, they're absolutely accountable. Like, if they prescribe something that's above the maximum dose recommended by the manufacturer, then we would call them out on it and say, this is above what the manufacturer tested for and recommends. You still want to do it. And then they would be responsible for it. So that's kind of a normal process. Now, on my stuff, where I was saying, why are you prescribing all those meds? Why aren't you talking about other types of ways? You're supposed to be a healthcare practitioner, not a drug prescriber? No, I wouldn't do that. I mean, not in that way, because I don't think it would be productive, even though I would like to, kind of. But you know what I mean? Like, I just want to give them a much bigger picture than that. If that's what you're asking. Is that what you're kind of asking, or?
Absolutely. On the flip side, we're going to hop out for our final break of the night. Dr. Leyla Ali is our guest tonight. Her website, drleylali.com, holisticmedicalnetwork.com, and offbalancethebook.com. Her book, Off Balance, The American Way of Health, a pharmacist's perspective on why drugs don't work. You can get it at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, bookstores, and we go from there. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. We'll be back right after our final break.
Are you an experiencer? Have you had run-ins with strange creatures you can't explain? ETs, Dogman, Bigfoot, werewolves? They're enough to scare the daylights out of anyone. Hi there. I'm Butch Witkowski from your Cop. And on the last Monday of every month, you can listen to me and the host, Dave Scott, talk about the weird and the strange being reported on Spaced Out Radio. I'm going to bring my investigations and sources, you bring your experiences, and we'll figure out the rest together. Strange Days on Spaced Out Radio. Come tune us in at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio?
Head to our website at spacedoutradio.com and click on our advertising tab. There you will find an assortment of ways you can get your product out there with us.
From the radio, commercials, to banners, to social media.
Have a product you'd like our host to endorse? We can do that too.
Visit spacedoutradio.com for more details.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry.
Right here, this is where we divulge the fruit of our research. Here on the Webster Phenomena every Saturday night at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern on Spaced Out Radio.
Attention Spaced Out Radio listeners. For only $5 a month, you can join Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers. Your membership at spacedoutradio.com will give you access to private fan area on the website, get you a monthly newsletter, draws for monthly swag, and a whole lot more. Sign up today to become a part of the Spaced Out Radio experience.
Strange creatures lurking in the night? The sounds of wood knocking in the forest? Odd happenings right out of a fictional world? These are the reports I love. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, and I would love it if you join me and Spaced Out Radio host Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month on our journey into the unknown land of cryptozoology at spacedoutradio.com. From Mothman to Frogman and everything in between. Hey, they don't call me the crypto guru for nothing.
Greetings and salutations, space travelers, from the Chronicles of the Unknown team.
What is Chronicles of the Unknown? I keep hearing about this thing.
It's a new paranormal reality TV show based right here in beautiful British Columbia, Canada. Follow our team as we uncover claims of activity on the Caribou Gold Rush Trail. You can also follow us here every third Monday, where two members of our team will be available to answer your questions. We'll give you some equipment updates and some of our experiences on the road, right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Did you know that Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi, it's James Tyson from Spaced Out Weekend. Every Saturday and Sunday night, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, you can join me and my guests for some great chatter about what's going on out in the universe, or even in that dark part of the basement you really don't want to go back into. Well, let's find the answers to your experiences together. So come on up to Uncle Jimbo's cabin on the weekend. For more information, look us up at spacedoutradio.com.
Missed most of tonight's show? Don't worry, you didn't miss a thing. You can head to our website, spacedoutradio.com, and download our archives for free. And don't forget to get your Space Travelers membership today. Now, back to tonight's show. Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for being with us tonight as we are talking about Big Pharma. And we're just having a little bit of a Skype connection problem here with Dr. Leyla Ali. We are trying to get that going as we speak. Reminder, you can always go on Spaced Out Radio to check things out. Our new website, spacedoutradio.com, is very, very friendly, very interactive for you. And you can check up on our SOR Space Wire, led by our news director, Eric Markham. He's got new stories put up there every day. You could check out the Bumblefoot page, our affiliates page, the SOR team, read our blogs, and you can sign up for the SOR Space Travelers Club for only $5 a month. That way, you will be able to get into the private section of the website just for members, take a private group interview. You can win prizes, and so much more. That's at spacedoutradio.com. Reminder, you can follow us on Twitter at spacedoutradio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, you can follow me at Dave Scott, SOR. Our YouTube channel is Spaced Out Radio Show. Subscribe to that, and you can hear our archives for free. Now, tomorrow night on the show, Corina Sables will join us. We're going to talk about the darker side of ET abduction and how it's affected her, her family, her children. It's going to be an eerie night of ET talk tomorrow night on the mighty SOR, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time. Tonight we are talking with Dr. Leyla Ali. Her website, drleylaali.com, holisticmedicalnetwork.com, and offbalancethebook.com. And her book is titled Off Balance, The American Way of Health, A Pharmacist's Perspective on Why Drugs Don't Work. We bring in Dr. Ali right now. Welcome back.
Thank you. Still here. Thank you.
Well, we lost you there for a second. You just kind of cut out, and I had to quickly get you right back on the phone here. I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah, I couldn't hear anything all of a sudden, but we went 2 hours and half an hour strong, so we're good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One of the things that I would like to talk with you about is in regards to the public perception of healthcare. You're someone who has decided to speak out against this. Now, a lot of people will come out and they'll say, how can you do this? how can you come out and talk against the people who you are working with on a daily basis? Do you get a lot of guilt, or do you get a lot of criticism for doing what you're doing and coming out like this?
No, I don't get a lot of guilt. I feel like I can make the world a better place, you know? I feel like I have an opportunity to make our healthcare a better system. So there's not guilt. And I mean, you know, yeah, I make money off pharmacy, but I'm still paying student loans, so there's no guilt there, you know? So, but yeah, I mean, it definitely will help the world if I can get the message out in bigger, stronger ways.
I understand that, and I can appreciate that. Do you find that a lot of your colleagues are starting to jump on the same bandwagon you are, or do you find that they know about these issues, but they're just choosing to be silent?
You know, one of the guys I went to pharmacy school with was on Facebook and he said, "Good for you for taking a stand. I feel the same way." I'm like, I didn't know that, you know. So there's two of us now, but there's not a whole lot of interest, really. I mean, when I tell pharmacists about it, most of them, there's just a few, still such a minority. And it's just, I don't know. I'd like to educate pharmacists, but pharmacists, why would they want to be educated if the customers don't care about it? You know, so it's just like I said, we have a lot of work to do. But we'll keep doing it, right, until people listen. But it's unfortunate. A lot of people are on medications for like a long time before they realize, like, wow, maybe I should try something holistic. And it just should be exposed to people's options. I mean, it's just not even considered, you know, all these natural and holistic things that would get people back to basics and off of medications for a long time. So, yeah, no, I don't feel there's a lot of interest. I don't feel I'm doing anything bad. I think I'm trying to make the world a better place, and I think I can. So, you know, and I just think there's a big road ahead. We've got to build some momentum, keep going.
And Gail is asking in the SOR Space Travelers chat room here on Facebook, you are still a practicing pharmacist, even though you are speaking out.
Yes, I still work at, I work for an insurance company, actually. I work for a mail order, and I talk to customers every day. And these customers, they want 90-day supply of medication mailed to their house. So I just consult on medication. So I don't really, I did propose a holistic health program to the company, but, you know, they haven't been interested in it yet. But, you know, if I'm working on stuff outside, too. I'm trying to create some webinars and do other things. And I just, you know, basically just keep going until you get to a tipping point, something happens. But, so yeah, I'm still there. They know my opinions on things, but I still do my job and help people get their 90-day supplies of what they want. So I'm living in both sides of the world. I am.
Does the company you work for, do they know what you're doing?
Yeah, they know about the book and that I speak about this. I mean, they don't say anything. They're seem pretty polite, and they listen. You know, we did a proposal to get it covered on insurance and help people get off meds. Like even have a department like that, but you know, nothing happened there. But so they know. But I think, you know, if I'm doing my job while I'm there, it's fine. You know, they don't seem to mind, I guess.
Do you fear for your safety in regards to coming out and speaking against this?
I haven't had any issues yet. I mean, I know people do when they get to a certain point, but I don't know, I feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. You know, I've had people ask me that long before I even knew what they were talking about. You know, I knew how dark the world was. But yeah, I mean, I haven't felt anything yet. I feel fine.
And the reason why I ask is, and I'm sure you're very obvious about it, you know, there's a lot of holistic / naturopath doctors that have either gone missing or accidentally killed themselves or accidentally been run over by cars that they are driving. You know, there's been a lot of deaths in the natural medicine field lately, and there is a big conspiracy going on around that. You know, as thinking that maybe Big Pharma is trying to shut these people down.
Yeah, and that stuff didn't even hit mainstream news. Most people don't even know about that, but I don't know. He was like 12 or 14 and then mysteriously passed away. But yeah, I've heard about that. I mean, I don't have practices like all those people did because I'm just working for a company and doing my own thing. But, I don't know. Just going to keep doing my thing till I don't do it,
Well, I understand that, but do you take security measures? Do you make sure that you don't push the envelope too far?
I mean, I don't know. I just say what I'm supposed to say. I also heard that a lot of those people were doing some treatments for cancer and things like that. So I don't know what the correlation is, but yeah, I mean, I haven't pushed things too far, but I'm just, I haven't thought about it too heavily, I guess, but I'm just going at my own pace. Nothing's happened. I know people have been to the expos before and they had threats and stuff for their life. So yeah, it's we live in a very dark world here. But I just think this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
But is it something that you have to take precaution for now? Has anybody ever given you a phone call to say, you might want to keep quiet on that, or you might want to shut up, for lack of a better term?
No, I haven't done anything like that yet. And I haven't spoken out too much. I mean, I have my book, but I haven't done a lot of speaking or anything like that. So, I haven't been that big time yet, I guess I'll say.
No, I understand that, but even going out publicly, because you're starting to go out publicly with everything, has it crossed your mind?
Yeah, it's crossed my mind, but it's, I mean, I feel like I'm being guided to do what I'm doing. And so, you have to believe that you're following what you're supposed to do. What else can you do? You can't do anything, right? I mean, so yeah, I've heard people say that, and it's like, oh, you can't do that. But, I don't know. I mean, I just feel like we come here, we kind of pick our challenges. We're here for a while. It's like an adventure. So I guess I don't take life that seriously, Not that I want to die or anything, but, no, it doesn't really consume me or anything at this point. I just feel like I'm supposed to be here to share this message, so I'm going to do it.
Well, I want to speak hypothetical for you here for a second, or ask a hypothetical question. If you were told to wrap it up, keep quiet, would you? Or would that push you further?
I don't know. I don't know who told me and how, and I don't know. I don't know what I'd do if I didn't do this, So I don't think I'd shut up. I think I'd probably do something else. So I don't know. You probably have the same question, or no, for you? But you're on a path too, because you were talking, and you're supposed to be doing what you're doing, right?
Well, absolutely. You try and do what you think is right. I mean,
yeah.
There's a lot of radio shows that have been told to keep quiet. There's a lot of radio shows who have been visited by people or had the phone calls. I mean, so there is risk involved when you get into the controversial topics.
Right, sure. And I don't know. I mean, natural news, they're huge. And I think he's had threats, but he's still going.
True. Very true.
The other guy, Alex, who does...
Yeah, we don't really talk about him around here. We're not fans of his because of his...
oh, okay.
Yeah, because of him trying to scare people for no reason. We don't do sensationalism journalism here. It's not very. I don't think it's very professional, in my opinion. That's probably where I'll leave it.
Is he I know some people think that he's just out there to scare people and not really a conspiracy theorist kind of thing too. So I've heard the different things on him, not too in depth, but we don't talk about him here anyway, so that's okay.
Well, I'll end that part of the conversation on this note. I followed him just to kind of keep in touch, because as a journalist, you want to see what the competition is doing. You want to see what other people are talking about. And it came to the Super Bowl. And he comes on, literally on his Facebook Live or his live Periscope feed, and he goes, "We have breaking news and Infowars.com. We know who has won the Super Bowl. The game has already been decided." And when you are making those statements and you have nothing to back them up with, that's just contrived journalism. And the sad part about it is people are so fearful today that they don't even listen to what he was saying. All they hear is the headline. And he's perfected the headline. And I'm not a fan of that bulldog-type journalism that goes absolutely nowhere. Because this side of the microphone, or this side of the pen and paper, or this side of the computer, or the television camera, you're supposed to have credibility. You're supposed to be down the middle. You're supposed to be someone much like a doctor taking the Hippocratic Oath. Right. And to me, I think it's a shallow shot at journalism, and I don't appreciate that. But he's got a lot of followers, and you can't blame him.
Yeah. I haven't listened to his stuff for quite a while, but I used to.
Dawn has a question for you in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker. She would like to know, what is your mission here, Doctor, or mission statement, Dr. Ali? What are you standing for?
Well, I think when I come to that before, I think the two things is, I want people to understand the limitations of doctors and drugs, and that, again, like I said many times, the doctors aren't trained in all the aspects of health. And people are going to doctors and pharmacists expecting all the health care. So I want them to understand that, and also learn that there's other ways to heal. There's so much other ways out there that people don't know about. So to understand the limitations of doctors and drugs, and then to be empowered to find new ways to heal yourself. Because I think almost everything can be healed. There's so many things that doctors will tell you that it's incurable, or you have 3 months to live, and they're not trained in what's possible in the world, right? They only know what's going to happen in their world. So those are my two mission statements.
Do you feel comfortable with that? Is that something that, if something, somebody question your integrity, somebody question your stance on things, you're comfortable with standing up and saying, look, this is what I have learned in my time behind the counter, and a lot of it is straight BS?
Yeah, that's my book. So yeah, I'm definitely comfortable with that. I feel like in the beginning of the book, I have a little excerpt from the king is not wearing any clothes. And, remember the king, he's marching down the street, and everybody's going, oh, my God, that's the best outfit ever. And the kid goes, he's not wearing any clothes. It's like, I kind of feel like that person just, it's like looking at the obvious. Like, look, we got so skewed to believe this and that, and it's not healing. There's like, this is our, everybody believes this falsehood and expects things from, and expects the drugs and expects the doctors to heal, but it's just like, it's different. So I'm trying to change people's perspective in a bigger picture, I guess you'd say.
And that's a good thing, because it is needed. It is very needed in society.
Yeah, so that's definitely one of my bigger goals, is just to have people kind of wake up and go, wait a minute, life, it doesn't have to be like this,
Where does trust come in?
Trust yourself or the doctor, or?
Well, let's start off with the doctor.
Yeah, if you have a doctor you trust, that's great, but they're just not. Unless you have a doctor that got extra training beyond medical school and that understands their limitations, you can trust that they're doing the best they can and they're a good person, but that doesn't mean that, they have the answers or they understand their own limitations. I'm really ripping up doctors here a little bit, but, yeah, like, I don't think you can trust them to have all the basics of health anymore, or to, there's just a few of them. And the ones that continue their education and learn something else beyond medical school are the ones that you can trust. And if they don't understand their limitations, then you have to keep looking for somebody else, You have to keep looking for someone that makes sense to you. If doctor tells you something and you believe him because he's a doctor and he's an authority, or do you believe him because your gut kind of relaxes and it makes sense, And I think that's what people have to do, is when they tell you something and you just want to believe it, or you believe it because he's a doctor, or do you believe it because, wow, that just makes sense. I showed it and I can see it and it makes sense and it feels right. People have to trust themselves, I think, more than anything.
And I think that's a good point. When you were behind the counter, have you ever thought about leaving your career because of what you see that you don't agree with? Well, yeah, I that's been the goal for a long time. So, but I mean, I know, again, like, I'm supposed to be helping people find better solutions, But yeah, I mean, I'd like to, but again, you spend all that money for the training, and it's been a good job to have time to do other things, because for a long time, not anymore, but for a long time, there's a shortage of pharmacists in California here, and so I could work a lot of hours and still have time to learn other things and do things. So it gave me a lot of freedom. But as soon as I became a pharmacist, I think I was 3 days into it, where I was like, oh my God, what did I do? How did I get here? Like, I was bored, because I was like I'd always been kind of go and learn and do different things, and all of a sudden you land there and you're like, this is it? This is everything I've worked for? So I kind of started a career just being bored, and then I learned that it was all wrong too, so it's, I've been kind of trying to dig myself out of the profession for a long, long time. But I mean, I'm happy. It's not like I'm not happy with what I'm doing, but I definitely, like, I need projects. I need to work on stuff. I need to always have something to do, in the bigger picture to help with. Do you plan on writing more books in regards to the whole subject? Is there more that needs to come out?
Yeah, the first book I got a general. I have an outline for a second book and started on that, but it still needs a lot of work. But there's definitely more that you learn as you go. And I didn't hit on vaccines or marijuana in the first one, so they would need. But yeah, there's definitely more healers I'd like to talk about, and just different things, perspective. I've learned a lot. There's so many amazing ways to heal, and I love learning about the different things and when they help and when they don't. Again, they say here everybody, it's profit society, so if somebody thinks they can make a buck off you, then they're going to do whatever they can and get your business. So that's one of the things with our capitalistic society in healthcare, is that, instead of referring them to the person that can help the most, and they're like, oh, yeah, I can help you. So that's the issue. There's a lot of issues.
Do you believe in healing crystals?
Well, I wouldn't say no to that. I don't, healing, I believe in healing. I don't know, like, I'm sure they work. I don't know when or where, how to know they're good crystals or anything, but I wouldn't just say no, they don't work, But I haven't listened to them that much. I would be open to it.
The reason why I ask that is I always have around me, what's it called now? Sodalite. And this is something that is supposed to help with anxiety and depression. So if I'm feeling a little anxious, I get this orb of sodalite and kind of just rest it in the palms of my hand, and it seems to calm me down. So in something along those instances, would you say that's more mental than the crystal? Or do you think that the crystals can have some sort of healing power towards a person?
Yeah, I think they can. I mean, they've been known as being healing things for a long time. They have this 7 layers, 7 planes of existence, and they talk about the rocks and minerals being part of the healing, and then you go up a level and you got herbs and plants, and so I think there's all kinds of different things to heal and help out with, and I think that's another one.
So where do you go from here? What's on your agenda in regards to your health career, in regards to continuing the coming out party of being a minor player in the whistleblowings, you know?
Right now I got a couple of different people that are asking me to be a coach or do a consultant to kind of help people get out. So I'm trying to develop that. And again, my thing is, like you've heard, is more like a big picture, hit the thoughts, hit the emotions, the overall picture, and how people need to think about their health. If you ever read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, it kind of makes you think differently about your money situation. I kind of related my book, even before I wrote it, to that. Did you read that book?
I have not.
Rich Dad. Oh, okay. But yeah, he teaches you how to think different about money instead of working 40 hours a week for 40 years, but without giving all the answers. And I kind of wanted to be that kind of book for healthcare. And so I want to create some webinars. I'm working on that right now, too, and also like a program that'll help people get back to the basics of health and have a different way. So I got some programs and projects I'm working on and see what helps get the message out more. So I definitely want to keep getting a little louder here.
Do you feel that the message is starting to get out?
I think so. It does seem like there's still 2 distinct worlds, though. Western medicine and then people like us who figure out there's a whole other world out there. So when I see some people at work and they're just, mainstream news and regular, this doesn't make any sense to them, then I know there's like a lot of work to do, But there's a growing people that are interested in speaking out. So that's encouraging, And the more people that do, the more people. I mean, it's like we have to get to the point where you get to the person and say, where the person realizes that the drugs aren't going to be the answer and looks for something else, because doctors aren't going to do it. They're not trained on it. Health insurance, they won't be paying for natural stuff until there's a big enough push to do it, until there's some profit. So it's really the patient, the person, that has to figure out that something's not right and wants to be more responsible. They want to feel better, and they don't want to be on these medications.
Dr. Leyla Ali, 3 hours is up. Thank you so much for being on Spaced Out Radio tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the air with us, and I look forward to do it again.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. That was a lot of talking we did.
Hey, you survived. You survived your first 3-hour interview. You did very well.
Yes, it was. I appreciate it. Thanks so much, Dave.
Thanks so much. Take care.
Okay, you too. All right.
Good night. Dr. Leyla Ali. You can find her website, drleylali.com, offbalancethebook.com, holisticmedicalnetwork.com. You can check out her book, Off Balance, The American Way of Health, a pharmacist's perspective on why drugs don't work. She's brand new into finally coming out. You got to realize it was her frustration that brought this book to the forefront. So you have to understand she is just coming out. Give her props for that. It's pretty brave, because the pharmaceutical companies and the Big Pharma, that's big business. Hey, I want to say thank you to all our listeners in the Space Out Radio chat room on Spreaker, on the SOR Space Travelers on Facebook, Euphoria Chronicles, Chronicles of the Unknown, and Forest Moon Paranormal for tuning us in tonight. Always a pleasure to have all of you around. You can follow us on our website, spacedoutradio.com. We put our show schedules up there, our times, and you can join the SOR Space Travelers as well for just $5 a month. While you're on the website, check out the SOR Space Wire. It is our new news system. You can keep up to date on things that are happening that are alternative out there. That's led by our news director, Eric Markham. And you can follow us on Twitter, @SpacedOutRadio. Give my Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, I can be followed at Dave Scott, SOR. Our YouTube channel is Spaced Out Radio Show. Subscribe to that. That's where we put our archives. And, of course, our website is spacedoutradio.com. Really appreciate you taking the time. Uncle Bumblefoot is going to take us out of here momentarily. Don't forget, tomorrow night, Karina Sables is on the air. We're talking E.T. abductions. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I'm your host, Dave Scott. We'll talk to you in exactly 21 hours. Bumblefoot, take us home.
Watching.